just getting it started. And we're live. Hey, y'all. Glad to have y'all here today. We've got a lovely crew with us today. We've got Penny, Angela, Tony, Amanda, and Julia, and then Charlie, who are both off camera. But yeah, it should be another exciting show today. And kind of keeping with the theme with well, I guess we'll start with like we did the last time. So we'll just kind of go around the room with who all is here and just kind of give a brief introduction of yourself and what brought you here and anything you'd like to share. So Angela, we'll start with you.
Hey, hi everybody. I'm a holistic nurse and I live in Nebraska. And I guess I found Charlie and Colleen a year plus ago and really resonated with what they were saying. And yeah, I'm a spiritual life coach and other things too. And I'm really into going into the heart. And it's really important to me to create from the heart, because when we create things from our mind, we're creating the polarity of that thing also. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us here today. And your username YouTube is Say Chi Coaching, right? Yeah, so I always love seeing your comments whenever they show up. You always share such lovely things. So thank you for showing up and who you are. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Justin, that's so true. Say Chi is one of our truly bright lights, and we love you so very much, and thank you so much for sharing those beautiful thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Penny, what have you got for us today?
Well, I'm a bit like Angela. I found Charlie and Colleen about a year ago and started just following. Everything felt perfect. Everything was in place, just fell into place for me straight away. And it was a good journey for me because I was already stuck at home and with my husband. So he couldn't go, he couldn't move, he was paralyzed. And so lockdown became research for me. So I researched and I absorbed everything that Charlie had done over the years and Santosh, and I found Josh X early last year as well. So he helped me while he was here. And it's just been a really nice ending to my 25 years of spiritual quest, I guess, of coming finally to a conclusion of this is the truth. This is it. This is what I'm here for. So, yeah. And I'm looking forward to heading to Mexico, probably early next year. So, yeah, excellent.
Beautiful.
And we look forward to having you with us here, Penny. And again, all of our love and thoughts and strength and everything is with you. So we're with you.
Thank you, guys. Your messages have been really, really wonderful. Thank you.
Truly, yeah.
Nice to finally meet you and you, Colleen.
So nice to see you. So nice to see you.
Yeah, lots of love to you, Penny. And Penny's a regular on Miraculous Monday, so we always love having her there. You're always such a bright light wherever you show up. So thank you for being you.
Thank you.
All right, Amanda, what brings you here?
Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you. My name's Amanda. I am Canadian over in Nova Scotia. What brings me here? That's a great question. I feel like it's such a loaded question in some kind of way, too. I guess the best way to introduce myself is I've been researching the Cabal for, 8 to 10 years and coming across all this like horrible information, but it always resonated as truth to me. And anytime I try to talk to anyone about that, what's called a conspiracy theorist and dismissed and ridiculed. And I just kind of learned to keep it to myself, but continue doing research into it because, again, like it just felt like truth. And fast forward up to 2020, that's kind of when I really started to look into Q and everything like that. Am I supposed to censor myself with things I say? No. Okay. So anyway, I followed the Cabal A to Z, and that was so helpful, so unbelievably helpful. So thank you so much for that. I really connected a lot of dots, helped with the Orange Man bad programming that, I feel like the world obviously has. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here today to connect with like-minded individuals and such a beautiful community I've been watching for a while. So it's really great to be here. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Amanda. Yeah, I had a lovely conversation with Amanda the other day, and she's a beautiful healer. So she's truly sharing her gifts and healing the world. So thank you for you, and thank you for showing up. All right, and then Julia, she was on last show. Oh, Charlie, did you have something?
Yeah, just really quickly, Amanda's fantastic, and she's really learning to discern because what a lot of people when they send us things are just everything, and do that because most of the things that are within the truth community are flat out lies. And so you have to use discernment, and Amanda uses a lot of discernment. She's sending really good things that are following that path. She's following that line of truth, and she's not getting caught by all of these coast to coast radio truth or lies, that are just everywhere, and everyone just lazily accepts them, and you cannot do that. You can't do that. They have hijacked every single aspect to our organized creation, and that includes the truth community. You must do your own research. You must use your own discernment. That's what's gotten so many people into trouble about Adolf Hitler in Germany. When the facts are there, they're not easy to find anymore, but they're there, and you just have to do your research. You just have to do your work, and it is a glowing example of what's happening right now. So I'm going to call Amanda out for that because she does a great job of using her own discernment because there's of crap that's out there.
And like go through nets out left and catch most of our, and now you're in the right and you can pass the right. There's totally different.
Y'all are breaking up pretty badly. Didn't catch that, what you said, Colleen. If you want to repeat that.
Cast thy net to the right.
Simple, and the truth is simple. Yeah, we just got to stick with that. And then Julia we had on last show, but she didn't really get a chance to speak. So I wanted to have her back on. So if we could prioritize her and give her some time. So Julia, do you want to give a quick introduction for yourself again? Remind people.
Sure. Thank you, Justin, and thank everyone. Y'all are such a great community. And when you get on this path, it's really tough a lot of times. You feel really isolated. And it's great to have this online community of people that are just so just amazing with their discipline and just such great examples, because I fall off the fruitarian wagon periodically, trying it for a couple of years now. But it seems like every 10 steps forward, there might be a few back, but it's getting there. And yeah, like I said last time, I discovered Charlie and Colleen a while back with Santos, and then the pandemic. It was so great to have you through all that, when you started decoding the Q stuff. And, I was like so many people with Trump and politics in general. I lived in the US, I live in Spain now, I'm from Texas. And if there's anybody in Spain that wants to meet up in real life, that it goes all the way, because you meet so many people that are awake, but then when you're like, oh, you don't eat meat, or you only eat fruit, then that's it. It's like, oh, we don't want to be with you. You're too extreme. So it's just great seeing this community here. So yeah, it's just great to have all the support and all the guidance and all the wisdom through all this. And I wanted to make a request for Tony and for Casey on your show with the vegetable police, where maybe she could do an iridology reading with him. I think that would be really interesting. I just think that's so interesting. And Tony is just amazing. I would love to be able to do what she does. It's just so amazing. And just, again, I just want to thank everybody. And it's such an honor and a privilege. And I'm so humbled just to be able to be here and, you know, just amazed. It's just amazing how well we are at manifesting and materializing whatever we want through life, no matter what it is. It's like Charlie says, it's all with our resonance, and God and nature is just always there to give us everything we want, and does, whether we know it or not. And it's just amazing when you pay attention at all the miracles going on everywhere.
Truly. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, we're gonna have Tony on to the show with Vegetable Police in a couple weeks. But I think that would be fantastic if she could share some insight into iridology and maybe even give a reading. I think that's a great idea. What do you think about that, Tony?
Well, you actually put me on the spot now. I learned iridology a few years ago, and I have to say that I have not been focusing on it, that I work more with people and their symptoms. And so I don't see myself as well being advanced enough to do it that way, to see all the details, and we would have to have super clear pictures of the Irish. So I think I'm gonna skip it for now until I practice more, work more with it. But in the last year, it got so crazy busy that there's just no time for it. I get 5 new clients in, and then I realize I'm 10 behind in answering. So I have to have my priorities straight, and I would like to study more in the iridology first before I say, yes, I feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because I don't want to give halfway information. It is very easily for people to see if they have like orange around the pupil. Then you get a sense of how the GI tract is doing, or sorry, if they have sulfur in the body. But I would like to go more into details, and so far I have been able to do that with talking with people. And usually my conversations, the first conversations, they can be 2 to 3 hours, and we talk about anything and everything, and it's actually always fun. And the beauty is these people come from the Freak Sense group on Facebook, and they know everything about Charlie and high frequencies, and it's amazing to work with them. It really is. So I enjoy that a lot, and that works, and we really get a lot done even in that first conversation for people to move on.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's so wonderful what you're doing, and just sharing your knowledge and your healing with everyone else. It's truly a gift. So thank you. And then Kathleen, you just joined. Perfect timing. We just got done with introductions for everyone else. Do you want to give a quick introduction for yourself?
Hi, I'm sorry I'm so late.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kathleen. I live in the Adirondack region of New York, and I was diagnosed with MS in 1999. So that's my handicap causing me to be late today. Sorry. And computer issues and whatever. So that's life. Hi, everyone. I'm so grateful to be here. I went to Miraculous Mondays on Monday, and I chickened out. It was my first time. I didn't say a word. So here we are.
Thanks for showing up, and it's perfect timing. It always is. So you showed up just at the right time. So
Well,
thank you
that's
for
what,
being here.
I trust that everything is meant to be when it's supposed to be. So
Absolutely. Well, thanks for
yes.
showing up.
No problem.
All right. So that's everybody. So we'll go ahead and jump right into any health related questions while we've got Tony and her wisdom on the call. So does anyone have any burning questions that they want to ask Tony? Anyone got any health topics they want to dive into?
I guess I'd like to ask a little bit about enemas. I'd been doing coffee ones, and then I heard, was it Amber say lemon juice? Yeah, so I'd just like to know a little bit more about, how often it's recommended, or is it just an individual thing?
It actually is an individual thing, and we don't recommend enemas at all. And absolutely no coffee enemas. If you still want to do it, or you feel that you need it, then you can do it with, we have an herbal tea, it's Heal All tea. But as easy, you can do a lemon enema, but don't do it too often, because despite what some people say, your body will get used to it and then needs it. And who wants to do enemas their whole life? I mean, if you want to do it on to clean out, but absolutely do not do it on a juice fast, because you get dehydrated too much. So if you just eat fruits and maybe a salad, okay, but you don't need to do that every day.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I kind of was doing it like once every couple of weeks, but I think even that was too often. So yeah, I just wanted to know.
Always go with how you feel, what you feel. Let your body tell you. And if it feels uncomfortable, then don't do it. Don't do it because you heard somebody say that you need it. Listen to your body.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, absolutely great advice, Tony. Again, common sense always rules the day. So when you look at an enema, it's an invasive process, and invasive processes should be kept to a minimum. They're necessary at times, and they're necessary for certain scenarios, but on an ongoing basis, no, because what your system is, just like the earth, is a closed system. And it's designed to be closed because it's supposed to be you going within to God, and therein lie all the answers. So it's all about melatonin, serotonin, and dopamine. I've said that a million times, but it's worth saying 100 million more, because it's the truth, it's the way. Everything you do should be doing to promote the development process in copious amounts of melatonin, serotonin, and dopamine, because that's what fuels your circadian rhythms. And that's what you are. You're a complex system of circadian rhythms for every moment, for every breath, for every day, for every week, for every month, for every year, for your born days, for everything. Everything that there is a circadian rhythm. But for those to function properly, you need copious amounts of the melatonin, serotonin, and dopamine. Melatonin is the development creation of all new blood. And this is the new. We always hear this about the association to Jesus Christ and to sort of Christianity is this tradition of new. That's the new, is the new blood rising within you. So that's your melatonin. That's what the pineal gland does. I mean, amongst other things in the metaphysical world, but in the physical world, melatonin is such a big deal that that's what the pineal gland does. And melita is all the sweetness of honey. And as Jacob did when he crossed the river and met God face to face in a place called Pineal, his life was preserved. Melatonin preserves your life.
Okay, so but let me just play devil's advocate for a minute. Let's just say that you've spent 55 years toxifying your system. You've eaten flour, dairy, all of that stuff. So Tony, you're saying that like just never do an enema even though you're impacted and...
No, that's not what she's saying. That's not what Tony is saying.
No, I'm just saying like it's not recommended. You say we don't recommend it, but is it a good idea ever to go and get a colonic or because a lot of people do this, so it's a really good question.
You always start with diet. Diet always comes first. So you first transition with your diet from the meat, fish, dairy, eggs, cooked food, into raw food, into fruit, and then make sure that you're well hydrated, sorry. And then you take the next step, because you do have to clean out your bowels, absolutely. But part of the cleaning out the bowels starts with the diet. When you change your diet, that starts happening. And when you use the right herbal formulas, that is another step. And I've done colonics twice, and I did like it, but maybe once every 6 months. But yes, and if you suspect that you have a lot of parasites in your body, sure, the enemas do help.
Yeah, and that's just to answer Colleen's question as well, that they are a necessary, and they can be very, very helpful, but only when you've got yourself into a situation where you absolutely do need to clean yourself out. And the thing with the coffee enema is that it's extreme. So that's why they really, really work, because they're very, very extreme. But with anything that's extreme come extreme consequences to the process. So just know that. So you won't kill yourself from having a coffee enema or colonic, but there's a price that happens all the time. One of the things, of course, in and of itself, caffeine is a diuretic. So once again, in that part of you which is absorbing and keeps a lot of fluid or liquid within you, and you know, as much as anything else, your cells just need to be moist, very humid inside. You need lots of liquid inside of you. When you do that, it really is a diuretic, and it drains all of the liquids out of you, and that there's a harshness to that. And so if you need it, absolutely, but you know, when you know better, do better. And so it should be a one and done kind of thing. And then, exactly as Tony said, exactly as Colleen is referring to, then it's completely diet. And then diet never allows you to go back there. And the incredible thing about the genius of God and God's creation is that, look at fruit. So like I said, you should always look metaphysically first. So where do you pick your fruits? You normally up and to the right. And for your fruit, sign up into the light to be able to have these light substances. Justin's going to have a guest on talking about the frugivore diet, and it's one of the first things that he talks about is the fact that people criticize. It's just hilarious. They attack a fruit-based diet because it's so light. Wow. You do not want copious amounts of matter. You want light, because that's what God is, and that's how you become preserved. That's the pineal gland is up here. You must rise. To rise, you have to become light. Eating fruit allows you to rise, activates the pineal gland, produces the melatonin, and you are preserved face to face with God. So it's kind of a big deal. And it's really, really great when you look at this process, because use your common sense. So again, when you are bloated and when you are, congested and you need to clean yourself out, absolutely. But they should be once in a blue moon that you're doing this to yourself. Then there are more subtle ways of doing it. Now, they also may be less effective, but again, they have less side effects or consequences to it. Just know that about the coffee enema. It's very effective because it's very powerful, and with that come powerful consequences. And remember, you in your true core and essence is your subtle self, which has no matter in it, where nothing matters. That's what you truly are, is this subtle self that is inside of you. So be subtle to your system. And that's the brilliance of the endocrine system and Santa Claus, little drip melatonin, little drip serotonin, little drip dopamine, and everything is great. Kalawag, did you want to add to that, sweetheart?
Nope, it's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, just simply, coffee is poison. no matter where you put it, it is poisonous to us, and we shouldn't be doing anything with it. And that's why they push it so much. That's why the coffee enemas are so all the rage within the health community, because they want to make sure we're getting this poison some way or another. And if you're not drinking it, then let's get it somewhere else. And you know, and like what Tony said, just listen to your body. You know, if you do need help to get things moving, like if you're impacted and need an extra flush, like an enema might be a gentle way to do that. There are herbs and things to get things moving as well. But it should not be the go-to. You really should be looking at the root cause of why this is happening, and diet is the first step, as Tony said. So that's kind of what I got in my synopsis of the answer. So yeah, great
Well,
question,
the beauty is that apple juice gets you going too, so you don't need a coffee enema.
Pear juice as well. Yeah, that gets me going.
Yeah,
like
pear
nothing.
juice, apple juice. And the other thing with coffee is it's very acidic. We don't want to put anything acidic in our bodies. That's crazy.
Again, that's right. That's right, Tony. Colleen and I were just talking about that, and again, if you're still not 100% aware of that, is because I'm not doing a good enough job teaching it to you. But again, you being a frugivore means you're alkaline, and that is the essence of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was the alkaline man, and that's why we follow in his footsteps, and that's why he is the way, because it's alkaline of the body and the subtle body, which is the mind. So it's alkalinity, and that's there's no harshness to that process. And so the other thing I was going to say with regard to fruit and being light is that fruit is filled with fiber. It's just filled with fiber, which is beneficial when you need it. And then there are lots of times you don't need the fiber at all, which is great, because then you can just juice your fruit and then you don't get any fiber. Or you can eat watermelon, which has just trace amounts of fiber in it. So it's just genius. It's absolutely genius. It's got everything you need. And anyone who tells you different is lying to you. Whether they mean to or don't mean to, it doesn't matter. They're lying to you. Your body is a miracle. It's a miracle machine created by God. It does everything. It has everything you don't need. And like I said with the show yesterday, and Marie talking about supplements, and I don't mean to step on the toes of our beautiful herbs and plants and whatnot, but they're absolutely not necessary. That you don't need to supplement anything. Just do it right, and you don't need a supplement. That's not how God created this. God did not create this going, oops, I just keep screwing up everywhere, and yes, I'm going to help with these different herbs and plants so you can supplement your way back to health. No. Just do it right. And the right way is the way of Jesus Christ, which is alkaline. So alkaline of food, alkaline of thought. Alkaline of food, alkaline of thought. And you control your thoughts through your breathing. So the greatest source of alkalinity on earth is the ether, and you just need to be Buddha. And if you breathe passionately because you're in love with God, and you just bring him into you constantly, what you're breathing in is God. What you're breathing in is the truth. What you're expelling are the lies. What you're expelling is the waste. And that's 1,000 times more powerful than your food. But as Tony says, it all starts with the food. It does, and it has to. You have to start at that base root level, which is our physicality and therefore the food. But when you get yourself into alignment with the food, then the growth becomes exponential, because you charge everything 1,000-fold. And that's taking no thought and controlling your thoughts through the breathing that you do or don't do. And most people are just, again, Colleen and I always try to share this with you. Observe whom you're watching and getting your truth from. So if you have somebody who's teaching you about, the secrets to this person or that person or the Bible or this or that or whatever, and if they look like shit, then how much wisdom do they really possess? How much truth do they really have inside? Everything is a process. That for sure, everything is a process, and they could be very well on their way, kind of thing. But again, most people, what they are attempting to teach or talking about, they themselves represent a massive conundrum, a massive oxymoron to what it is that they're saying, because they're the opposite. They are the opposite of what they're saying. And everything has to be in confluence. Everything has to be in flow. So always be the observer. Use your common sense and let your common sense feelings inside of you light the way, show you the way.
Beautiful. Great question. Great topic. All right. Anyone else got another health related question? Yeah, go for it, Angela.
I just wanted to say that I think it was in Dr. Morris's level 1 DVD class. Somebody in there was saying that taking 10 really deep breaths is as good for moving your lymph as a 10-minute walk. So I thought that was really interesting. And Charlie, I wanted to ask you and Colleen about something, and anybody who wants to chime in. I went through a breatharian process, I think it was about a year and a half ago. And at one point during my dry days, I thought that I tasted maybe a little bit of honey in the back of my throat. And then I didn't know if I imagined it because somebody had talked to me about this possibility, I guess. And I thought maybe it's the melatonin coming from my pineal to feed me when I'm not eating. Does anybody have experience with that?
Yeah, that's great. And by the way, don't second guess yourself, in terms of whether, you sort of manifested itself because somebody was. If the experience occurred, it's real to you, and that's very, very important. And so yeah, you have a canal that is running from the third ventricle, from the higher part of your brain, that runs straight down with entrances into the top of your throat. So it's very, very possible that is occurring and that you're feeling that. And of course, it makes perfect sense during a elongated fast, and especially a dry fast, because during that process, see, and everybody, the lies, they always will warn you about doing these things, especially dry fasts. And of course, everything is a process because, again, our cells are just so used to being liquidated. So it's very important that we have that. But when you do this, when you're ready for this process and you do this process, what you're doing is not stressing your body. What you're doing is getting out of the way. And you're allowing your incredible magical thing for you. And that's the beauty, because then the endocrine system is taking over. And the endocrine system is dominated at the top. All of us, physically and metaphysically, are dominated by pineal, pituitary, and the hypothalamus. We absolutely are. Whether it's a physical thing or a metaphysical thing, the third ventricle of the brain rules the way. And so it makes perfect sense that you would be feeling that, and you could be tasting that. Go ahead.
This would be a really great question to ask Justin's upcoming guest, who I know I was listening to one of his videos, and he was talking about the dry fast, and he's done quite an extensive dry fast. I was just like, wow, I would love to hear all about that. So that'll be really great, and that would be a great question to share with him.
Yeah, just to give a little more on that. So we're on Tuesday with the Vegetable Police show, we're going to be having the Eli Martyr from the Free Melon Society on as our guest expert, and he's a hardcore frugivore. Like he's a stuntman for movies, and he's got incredible physique. And he's done several 7-day dry fasts where he exercises intensely every single day. And it's incredible when you get your body into that state, what you can do with it. And when we start to disconnect from the need for food in general, fruit is the highest form of food, but it is not necessary. It is this ether, this energy that's always around us, that we always have access to, that we can truly tap into. So yeah, I'm excited to talk with him about that and get more into that, because I think it'll be fascinating.
And there can be a real powerful exchange as well, because from a little bit that we listened to, it sounds like he knows strongly that the Earth is round and spinning, and that we evolved from monkeys. So the idea being is that you evolve with the mind as well, not just with the body. So then the breathing becomes very important, because you're confronted by all of these sort of lies that no longer serve a purpose. And so what's really important is that you see the higher growth through the physical, is that it begins to take root with regard to the mental, and then these 100-year-old axioms, which are just out lies, need to go the way of the dodo, and they need to be replaced with the truth. And of course, all of this is just, sort of foreshadowing the process to accept God into your life, which is, just sounds like a crazy thing to do, because that's what religion has set out to do with regard to such statements. But the truth is, moving forward, it's either embracing God or you're with Satan. So so I think what's going to be fantastic over time is to see the way that Justin and others will be able to interact with guests like this, and encourage them to breathe, to do more with the breathing, meditation, and then see what kind of lights come on in their existence.
Yeah, and just to touch on
This
that,
is the
so the video that y'all watched was a few years old, where he was talking about the ball earth, and I still believed in the ball earth even a year ago. So I don't know where he's at. I know he's committed with the truth, but it'll be fun to get into that kind of conversation and see and explore. Yeah, so that's exciting. Does anyone else have any? Julia, I know you can't stay on super long. Do you? I want to make sure we give priority to you. Do you have any burning questions for Tony or for Charlie or for myself, or topics you want to get into, or things you want to touch on?
Yeah, I'll just ask real quick. Last time in the chat, someone wanted to ask Charlie about body hair and removal of it, and what he thinks about that. And on that line, I was also wanting to ask him about the Brill, with respect to Nazi Germany, and because their hair was supposed to be a big thing too, and just the technology of that time too, and if there's any relationship between Tesla and Hitler and World War II, and and just the whole World War II thing is very interesting to me, because my parents came out of that. They were in a relief camp and came over to the States in 1950 from Czechoslovakia. So I've kind of heard their story about it. So it's interesting to get what really happened over there and what the real agenda was. But yeah, the body hair, and whether it's good for people to be removing their body hair or not.
It's again, just apply common sense to it. First, you're made in God's image, and you're a unique one-off. So probably the thing to do would be accept yourself for the way you are. And of course, most people think that they need to remove it or something, because society tells you that you should, and you should look like these people, and these people are eating children for a way of life, and lying to you for a way of life, and prostituting themselves for a way of life, and you think you need to look like them. So first off, if you think you need to remove hair, then that's kind of an audacious thought, because God made you and in his own image, and you're unique. There's nothing like you, and never ever will be ever again. So you're very, very unique and powerful. Common sense also shows us what? that the more that you cut your hair or attempt to remove your hair, what happens? More grows back. So isn't there a message in that?
So what about your beard?
What about your beard? I shave because I don't like to wear a beard. That's all. But I have to shave a lot.
I just pluck mine.
Yeah. So that's it. I mean, it's a choice, but again, there's a reason. The way you are, and then common sense just shows you very powerfully that if you try to extract it, more grows back.
And so it's a cultural thing too, right? Our whole culture has been taught that we shave certain body parts, and the hippies came around and they were just like being free and just be natural, and they were ridiculed all the time. So that sticks in our head, those of us who grew up around that era. And and it's a big stigma. And to be a woman, you shouldn't be hairy at all. So that's, that's a really big one for us too.
Everybody knows that.
Right.
Everybody knows.
And when you are, you get teased. I mean,
course.
It's brutal out there. Yeah. But so those are things that we can slowly change, but it starts here, and just embracing all of that. And like he says, it's a common sense thing. I mean, we have hair, and unless it's really bothering you, why shave it?
And if you have too much of anything, it's simply because you're out of balance somewhere else. And for women that really are concerned about too much hair being produced, and they don't just know. I mean, first off, there's a simple natural process that occurs, and don't fight it. But secondly, that if you're having a consequential thing like way too much of this or that, it's because you're out of balance. It is a byproduct of too much of something else. And again, hair is part of the physical realm. So once again, if you want less hair versus then attempting to wax it off, wax on, wax off, whatever you think or however you think to do, just get light. Eat fruit, and you'll have less hair because you'll have less matter. Less things matter. You won't worry about it. You won't think about it. You won't produce it because you have less matter. The more hair that you develop is because you matter, because you're in your uncles.
Really, really thin, and then you grow more hair to keep you warm in Canada.
Yeah, well, of course, that and hey, listen, let's just go back to all of this. Like, why are there darker skinned people, and then darker skinned people, why do they tend to have coarser hair and darker hair? It's just all proximity to the sun. It just all relates to the sun. So, and if you spent generations as a white person and living on the equator, you watch what happens. You watch what naturally happens, and it's like, who you been? Okay, where do these kids come from? Have you been? No, I live with the sun. Everything they tell you is supposed to be genetics to scare you, so that your mom's on your dad's friend's uncle's side once had cancer, so you're probably going to get it. And it's a good idea to just cut your breasts off right now, and then just don't worry about having that fear later. Just get it done. What? It just let it go and rise.
Yeah, and just speaking on that, I mean, it is due to an imbalance. And when we're consuming things with, they put hormones in all the flesh that people are eating, and so you've got the hormones which are disrupting things and causing more hair growth, and then just eating animals in general, you start to take on the properties of the things that you are what you eat. So if you're eating hairy animals, you're going to be hairier. So this is just another reason to get back onto that balanced diet of eating fruit, because then we're not growing this unwanted stuff. And as y'all mentioned, living in the colder climates does prompt that imbalanced approach of rebalancing and growing hair. So if we're moving to the equator, moving toward these warmer places, voila, it all starts to just naturally balance out.
People live, and where do all the white people live? In cold places, and they're all white.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a hairy I'm a hairy dude, so we'll see what happens. I'll be an experiment for y'all.
So yeah, so we just need to change. And remember, in all throughout history, when artists created art about the human form, and especially about the feminine form, the feminine form, nothing like it looks now. And of course, what do we know now about most models and about most actresses in Hollywood, or in the modeling industry? They're guys. They're guys. They're guys. They're almost all of them are guys. And that's the secret about Victoria's Secret models. That's why it's Victoria's Secret, because they're guys. They're guys. And all these guys who just, have desires from a Victoria's Secret catalog or something, and they look into it and they're fantasizing and they're in love with all of these beautiful, they're guys. You're hot for a guy, okay? So now let's get over that and let's start helping people, okay? You had a crush on a guy, let's move on, okay? And let's start taking this experience a little more seriously, and stop having these ridiculous idols in the first place. So it's just all idiocy. Adolf Hitler attempted to, and what they were working on round the clock was what history is now called the Nazi bell. Remember, the Germans were not Nazis. They were National Socialists, which has nothing to do with socialism. It's individualism, that the individual reigns supreme. And that, this is what Hitler said. What's incredible about Germans and Germany is that all of these divine individuals that would choose to help one another without being forced to, and would choose to want to be part of my government and to help me in the things that I feel like I need to do, he said, is just like the highest highs, the most wonderful thing, that they're freely choosing to do this. That's what National Socialism is. So the Nazi term came from Conrad Heinz, and so he's one of these Zionists, world Zionists. So he's a Phoenician, he's a Canaanite, and so he created this term. And Nazi comes from this sort of German Austrian word, and it's not really even an official word. It's like a slang word. It's Ignaz, and it's like ignorant. And it's like a country bumpkin. So Ignaz is ignorant, and that's where the Nazi came from, is Ignaz, which is ignorant. And so, do any of you really think the Germans are ignorant people? They're amazing. They're amazing 1,000-fold in all the things that they sort of capable of doing. So they were not. Heinz is an Ignaz, and he wants to call himself a Nazi, have at her. But the Germans didn't call themselves Nazis. It was a hate speech, hate crime by the real Nazis, and you need to know this. Yes, there were Nazis. Yes, there are Nazis. And so somebody earlier, and I want to make sure I get this right, I think it was Julia, was talking about parents. And they transitioned to America. They came out of camps in Czechoslovakia. Germany didn't have any camps in Czechoslovakia. The Germans had 5 camps, and they were not death camps. They were work camps and protection camps for those German Jews that chose to stay behind. It weren't part of the Habara Act or the transfer agreement that transferred $500 billion and near 100,000 German Jews from Germany to the Holy Land, Palestine. And so they had 5, and none of them had smokestacks, and none of them were killing people. It didn't happen. Pictures of the German camps at the end of the war, where there were a whole bunch of sort of skinny people thrown into mass graves. Yeah, just that was the Germans too, because that was an Allied decision from Eisenhower to bombard every single road in and out, every single landing strip in out of Germany, and that was the whole point. It was designed to start, because remember, they had a plan. The Canaanites always have a plan, and their plan all along for World War II was to finally get this 6 million. Remember, they've tried to have 6 million Jews killed I showed you this with actual,
Chart.
physical references in the video. They've tried dozens of times to make people believe that 6 million. It was always in Russia, by the way, with the white Russians before they took them out. It was always in Russia with the white Russians, and that 6 million had died. And they were doing this in the 1800s, the middle 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s, 6 million. So boy, there's like a lot of Jews dying. And it's always 6 million at a time. That's a lot of Jews to have died, if you believe the mainstream press, which are the Canaanites. So that there's a plan. So Czechoslovakia, there were work camps and they weren't death camps either, but they were definitely work camps, concentration camps in Czechoslovakia. But those are being run by the real Nazis. And you need to know this as well, is that as Hitler was being surrounded more and more on all the outskirts of Europe, the American arm of Illuminati, so there'd be like the Brown Germans and the Billy and that whole they were investing into these camps, and essentially they were having their own troops, and they were just collecting people who had been disenfranchised or lost their homes, lost communities, lost families, and they were taking these people and putting them into camps. So all across Europe during World War II and at the end of World War II, they were shocked to find that there were just work camps everywhere. It had nothing to do with Adolf Hitler and the Germans. These were being done by the cabal, by the Illuminati, and forcing these people to work for nothing during the war. And that's where a lot of these people came from. And guess what? The uniforms, they all had to wear uniforms. The uniforms that they wore, which is these gray and white vertical stripes, these are the pictures that you're largely seeing when people say to you, oh, of course the Holocaust was real, and of course Hitler was killing all these people. Look at all these pictures of all of these slaves. No, these were from the Illuminati camps. This is from Bush family, Harriman family. And then America elects 2 Bushes as presidents while they were running forced labor camps during World War II. This is the world that you live in. Everything is a lie and everything is upside down. And they've got you hating the good ones, and they've got you loving the evil ones. It's just what they want. So I hope that helps, Julia. And really quickly, with Tesla and Hitler was working on the bell, and they call it the Nazi bell, but he was working on this bell. And the bell was this device that was magnetic in nature, and it was designed to create a protective magnetic dome over Germany where no planes could drop bombs and people couldn't enter. So it's kind of like creating a firmament to protect Germany as the last. So this was the secret, incredible weapon, nuclear bomb, that the Germans were working around the clock on a nuclear bomb. And there's no nuclear bombs. There's no nuclear power. God did not create this hidden subatomic world that an evil scientist could create and then could destroy all of God's creation because he's evil or something like this. No. So what the Germans were working on is to protect themselves, and that was the bell, the German bell, and it was a Tesla-like device that was magnetic in nature, and they just hadn't obviously completed it at the time. But it's in a museum if you want to see it.
Hey, Charlie, I just wanted to thank you, for bringing all of this to my attention, because I had no idea about any of this. I have loved a lot of Jewish people. I have family who are Jewish, so I definitely want to do my own investigation as well. But it's amazing when you try to investigate these things and you're stopped at every turn and you're called names just for asking a question. That is a huge clue to me that I have landed right in the middle of the truth. So I wanted to thank you for that. That's a really hard one, but it's really important, and I can see how it's happening now. I mean, Basically, I'm supposedly a Nazi, right? And I'm supposedly against Black people and all these other people just because I'm a National Socialist. And it's funny, I used to believe the Orange Man bad stuff too. And then when I saw how easily they had tricked me, I thought, wow, what else am I completely backwards about? And it's been such an eye-opener. It's so great. It's so good when you can see something and that you see the truth.
Yeah, and that's all that matters. Colleen and I have no agenda, and if eating cotton candy was the trick to everything, then we would tell you that eating cotton candy was the trick to everything. But it's not. It's not. Processed foods, hands of man, and it all makes perfect sense, right? God makes everything natural. It's raw, and it's all light, and it's all alkaline. It's all perfect. And then everybody's just doing everything through the hands of man. So it's corporations who hate us, and they're raping the mother, and it's just wow. So and thank you for that, Angela. And that's all that matters is just hearing the truth. And the thing is that the level to which that they have demonized Adolf Hitler and Germany and Germans in general is indicative of how good they were and how godly their plans were, and they can't have that. And remember, why did Hitler, he didn't need a second front and a second war. Remember, he had virtually the entire world attacking him on the Western Front. And he put an end to that in 6 weeks. They're pretty clever. And they had God on their side to be able to achieve that. And then they let all the Brits escape at Dunkirk. So just so you know, that's exactly what transpired. Don't let anyone else tell you differently. And then on June 22nd, 6/22 of 1941, he invades Russia. 6/22. That is the height of the sun in the sky. That's the highest that God's power reigns supreme as we transition from Cancer to Leo, and then the astrological cycle happens again. He knew exactly what he was doing, and because everything was we need God to be able to succeed in this. We need God. And why did he attack Russia? Because of the Russian Revolution. That's why. And who was put in power? The people that Abraham Lincoln kicked out of the southern United States. That's right. All of the vampires of this world set up shop in Russia. And the stories in the Ukraine and Lithuania and Estonia and all of these satellites of the Russian Republic are just horror-filled from the time that Lenin showed up and how children just started going missing. And it was horror. So what Hitler did, he did for everyone. Not just for Germans, he did for everyone. And when you listen to people like General Patton talk about this, when he was allowed to talk about it, Patton was just like, we were fighting completely the wrong people, that the German people are great people. He said, if we left them alone, they could have shown themselves to be like fantastic, incredible people. And he said that what we need is to release all of the German people and attack the ones that they said are the real enemy. And Patton said those are the communists in Russia. And he didn't say Russians, he said the communists because that's the cabal, and those are the vampires. And this is what this is all about. And Hitler did that on June 22nd, 1941, because he needed all of God's love and all of God's strength to help take down this monstrosity. He almost did it. I mean, they were in sight of downtown Moscow when everything seized on them and stopped on them. So it's an incredible story. It needs to be told. And what I want to share to everyone is that, people like Ghost Ezra, which is one of the crew that sort of releasing things now bit by bit. So it's like drip truth right now. And but one day Ezra just started talking about flat Earth, and there was no warning for it. He just started talking about flat Earth, and he was just laughing at people who believed that the ball was wobbling, tilting, and spinning. And he's just been going merrily along his way. So they don't think that the ball earth lie is really that big of a deal. But do you see what they've been doing? And they've left Hitler, World War II, in Israel and the Jews. Remember they said Israel will be left to last? This is why. Because this is so convoluted and got people twisted up inside. And this whole creation, and it's very complex and it's very clever and it's flat out evil because it protects them, it insulates them, because they call themselves Jews. And so then they've created this entire group of Germans and Estonians and Latvians and Austrians and Russians and Hungarians and all of these people who and Poles who now identify themselves as some genetic group from the biblical times called the Jews, and they're Poles and they're Czechs and they're Slovakians and they're Hungarians and they're Romanians. That's what they are. But they found themselves in sort of a fear-based, and so they just gravitated to this story that begun to be spun, and that is that people hate you because you are God's chosen children, your ancestors were in the Holy Land, and that we, your really rich, powerful Jew brothers that you'll never see, we want to protect you, and the only way we can protect you is if we reclaim the Holy Land and recreate Israel on earth, and there you'll be safe, and there we'll protect you. And it had nothing to do with that at all. It's the vampires need to take control of the most precious, sacred land on this earth, which is the Holy Land.
And they needed to create a Trojan horse for themselves.
Which is World War I, right? So they create World War I to create the situation where the Allies are losing and have lost, the Germans have won, and so therefore the Balfour Declaration gives them access to Palestine. And there you have it. And then they need World War II to be able to have some maniac killing and with this cabal, 6 million Jews, and then no one can say a thing. Because it's like crazy. How do you just transport 6 million to a place that's being occupied and claimed for thousands of years by people who are living there, and nobody bats an eye at this? Well, we have to do this because of what happened in World War II. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen. And that's how they do it. And that's why it's important.
Sorry. Do you think the truth is going to come out when we take the current communism insurrection in America and unwind it back? Is that what it's going to take to get the truth of this out to more people?
Yes, and what I want to make so clear to everyone, what's happening in America last summer, in particular, what was happening in Germany in 1990. Absolutely was. From 29, 30, 31, there was these group. They weren't called Antifa, but they were exactly like Antifa. All Germans that are still alive remember what was going on, and this was urban terrorists that were causing nothing but havoc. So they would go into like kindergartens and drop a bomb. And ignite and kill, 27 children and stuff like this. They were the ones that were promoting, giving money and promoting to have feeder houses put on performances that involved lesbianism or homosexuality or bestiality or group sex, anything that was not virtuous. And they were handing out money to do these things. So in the beginning, one of the things that occurred with Hitler right away was the rollout of the brown shirts. And people use this and say that's all you need to know, that Hitler was a bad guy because right off the bat, he brought out the brown shirts. Do you know what the brown shirts were and what they did? They were there to corral Antifa. And they were there to stop Germany on fire. Because it was insanity. What Germany was when Hitler took over is exactly what America suffered through in 2020 in the cities. And all of these mayors were bankrolled by the cabal. And so they were all these just horrific, immoral beasts in all of these cities. And so that's what Hitler said. Hitler said that we have to suspend Parliament. We have to suspend this constitution, because he said, if I don't get on top of this now, and I mean right now, he said that they will roll the world against us, and we won't be able to do this. So I have to act, and act fast now. And what Hitler said was, we're going to suspend elections and stuff. And he said, as soon as we can, ideally 4 years, we will have elections again. And he said, if you don't want me to be back, he said, I'll walk away, no questions asked, and that's it. When the first elections came, after Hitler did all of this and just rescued Germany from these vampires, the first elections, he won with almost 100% vote. And then you know, people who ridicule that he's so evil, well, of course, because they faked the elections and stuff. No, they didn't. Why did everyone in the world go visit Germany? Because they wanted to see firsthand the miracle that was created. Because everybody knew that when Hitler took over in 1932, they had nothing. They had nothing. All of their gold and silver was taken. Their country was in ashes. Their cities were in ruins. The population had morally, and there was just promiscuity running everywhere. There was child trafficking going on in Germany. There was child prostitution going on in Germany. There was a high crime rate going on in Germany. There was massive pornography. So the Germans you have to love this stuff, how evil and good the freaking cabal are. So Germans are book burners, right? And Hollywood puts this into every movie. Right? Every movie. So Indiana Jones, and they're burning books and stuff. You know what they were burning? They were burning communist propaganda and pornography, and in particular, child pornography. Book burners, evil, evil, evil. Right, because you that run Hollywood are pedophiles, and you love your child pornography. So they're book burners to what you want to read and what you want to see. That's the truth. That's the truth. That's what Hitler was doing. And he gets labeled as a book burner. Everybody just goes along for the ride. Everybody with a lazy brain just goes along for the ride and throws Germany and Hitler and what they did for the rest of mankind right underneath the bus. Don't want to hear it.
You know, it's interesting that the cabal takes over publishing houses, the entertainment industry, the music industry, and they're just assaulting us constantly with the opposite of the truth. And meanwhile, they make it impossible for people to have any quiet so they can go within, because all the truth is right there. You don't need some magical meditation to bring it to you. It's going to come like that if you just get 10 minutes of quiet every day, you know? It's incredible.
It's like tax season. There's no reason for any business to have to collect taxes and then have to remit taxes. They're doing it as a temptation for you to steal and to take some of that tax money, because you can't survive under their rules anyways. It's all designed to put more work on you and more stress on you. So like you said, never, Angela, are you able to ever drop into meditation, relax, see the light, connect to God, and then they're done forever.
And look at the dates that they put for the tax dates.
March,
when you're supposed to be rising.
March 21st, Passover, and you better get that. You got to get that done, and you better. And
people are so stressed and
yep.
grumpy and.
Yep. I know people that will just simply say, "Don't talk to me. I don't want anything to do with anyone until after February, until I've done my taxes and stuff." That's evil. And there's no reason. If they really needed this money and this money was really, really that important for them, then of course they'd collect it themselves. It would just be taken off at source. At source always, and then the business or the individual would never have anything to do with this. And it's the same thing with the individual doing your taxes. There's no need for any individual to do their taxes. Whatever they say, you have a flat rate, and then it just gets taken, and that's it. No questions asked. There's no refunds or anything. They just take. None of it's lawful, by the way. None of it has ever been ratified. None of it is legal at all. Not at all. And I say legal under their bullshit system of legality. Of course, none of it is lawful. Because of course it takes away from your sweat equity and your intellectual property, which God said to you, and cannot be taxed in any shape, fashion, or form.
I would assume that the IRS, what are those notes coming out lately, that there is some sort of a...
That's right. They keep extending and keep extending and keep extending and stuff. And so, people like Ezra are just casually recommending to take your time with this and what, because you don't know anything. You don't guarantee you don't owe anything. And any loan that you think that you've ever signed and that you're legally bound to for anything, including your home, and you think that that's fair. I've taught you fractional reserve banking and how the banking system works. Comes from your birthing certificate. That's where the money comes from the certificate that was created when you were birthed into the zombie world.
So that's why it's important that we take our power back, because moving forward, we're the ones who set the way that our systems will be run, and they will be run goodly and godly, and
That's
no
right.
more of this. No, we do not accept any more of this cabal-run system.
That's right. God created creditors, not debtors. You cannot go into debt. It's impossible. The whole system. That's what usury is the creation of debt. It's an impossibility. And what did God create? God created creditors. That's it. You can't go into debt.
Every time we participate, if you're doing your taxes every year, you're coming into agreement with this system, and this is shattering off a fraction of your soul over and over and over. It's like the mask. We say, okay, I'm going to put it on. Even though this is really me selling my soul, I'm going to just do it. And I'll do it again tomorrow, and I'll do it again tomorrow. And we just diminish and diminish and diminish our life force energy. And that's what they love. They love it. That's all they want, is for us to just keep doing it. And look at people, they do.
They do.
They keep drinking, watching TV, going along.
Get the jab, and then you need it more. And now it looks like you're just going to need the jab every single year. Jab, 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 jab. And then who are they angry at? People who don't get the jab. Well, they're just going to die. Don't worry about them. And you don't have to worry about catching anything because you got the jab. That's the whole point of getting the jab, right? Is that you don't have to worry about the people who don't. But they're all angry at the people who don't get it. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any common sense unless I don't want to think. That's a conspiracy. No, that's common sense. That's not conspiratorial. That's common sense. Yeah. So it's all upside down. It's all a lie, and it's really, really sad, and it all has to change. And so what I just wanted to just finish and share was just with Ezra, and so talking about all these major truths, and right down to child trafficking, and he just went right into it, and then about the Pope and about what religion is really all about. Now they just released something about Billy Graham and stuff, and this is like really hitting home for Americans now, because it's one thing to make fun of an Italian Pope over there, but Billy Graham was kind of like the American Pope, and so, but they have no problem with that. But when it came to Hitler and World War II, Ezra's like, would you like to have a comment about World War II today? And because they're afraid. And they've left it to last. They've left Israel to last because they know that this is the one that people are going to have the hardest time with, and this is really going to tear people for a loop. And just look at Netflix, and we're going to do a show with Justin and or Marie coming up very soon about Sigmund Freud. And you need to know that I did a podcast about Sigmund Freud 3 years ago, and nobody wanted to hear it, and how his whole tri-system of the ego is just complete bullshit, complete lie. Freud is a frickin' monster and a pedophile, and that's because his father was a complete monster, Illuminati monster, and a pedophile that raped him, raped his sister, beat his mother. It's just absolutely brutal. Freud is the last person anyone should be listening to. He's a maniac. And that's why Carl Jung, when Jung figured out what was going on with Freud, got the hell out of there as fast as he could and went hiding to a lake and created a friend inside of his mind through meditation and wrote the Red Book. Nobody in the mainstream wants to talk about that Carl Jung. No, they just want to talk about that Carl Jung that was great friends with Freud, and you just see that Einstein, a freaking idiot, and he's the smartest man in the world, and general relativity, and everybody believes this crap, and it's a Jesuit lie. And then it's Sigmund Freud, and he's the smartest man in the world, and thank God what he did to help us with the brain. You know what Freud's just saying? Women suffer because they all want a penis, and they don't have a penis, and they go through the whole lives angry because they don't have a penis. Fuck you. What a liar. What a hunk of shit. And that's what they teach in school as the truth in psychology. And that's what it is, penis envy. Okay, and all boys want to have sex with their mother. It's the Oedipus Rex complex and stuff. Speak for yourself, you lying pieces of dung. And that's all they are. That's who they are. That's what they do. It's just a lie. So Freud is a frickin' monster. Okay, Darwin, and you just go. It's Mother Teresa, who's a guy, and her job was to go into all of these third world countries and get children for the Pope. Wow, she's the greatest woman in all time, and Fauci's of her seed, and everybody thinks that she gave birth to Fauci because she's a woman. It's kind of the other way. It's the other part, the male part, and it's sick. And this is what we're talking about, the weight of these truth bombs coming out, because everything's twisted upside down. And then at what point does it just become too much? And then people are listening to all this and they're going, oh my God, and I used to have fantasies about all of those Victoria's Secret models, and they're all guys. I just can't take this. I mean, just, the Hitler stuff threw me for a loop, and the world not spinning, and now I was in love with the guy, and this is what Justin was talking about. This is what the Q team are worried about. That's why everything is just drip, 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 drip. And that's why they've left Israel to the last and the Jew question to the last, because and this is all the cabal. So this is when Colleen and I say to you that these are crimes against humanity. Lying is a crime against humanity. This is what we're talking about. We're now on a suicide watch for hundreds of millions of people earthwide because of how well these liars have lied. So Freud is a complete fraud. It's all a lie. Darwin, it's evolution. It's all a lie. Einstein, relativity, gravity, spinning, tilting, wob, it's all a lie. There's just been God.
That's heavy, right?
That's
heavy.
But that's the thing. There's just on the other side, there's just been God the entire time, and he loves you. And he's not going to judge you for believing in the lies. It's not your fault. And I want to share that with everyone right now. Colleen and I are not looking down our noses at you for believing in anything. Just let it go. That's what we're asking you to do, is just at this point, take a deep breath and go, wow, that Charlie Freak, he said that when he first came out, and he really meant it. And yike, okay, maybe it is true. And that's what you just have to do. Just take deep breaths, let it all go. If you did 72 deep breaths every single day, you'll be able to meditate. That's the miracle of 3 days and 3 nights. 3 days and 3 nights is 72 hours, right? 72 is the miracle. 27 is completely divine, and 72 is the miracle. So if you can just every single day do 72 of those Buddha breaths, that's your gateway, that's your key, that's your passage to the other side, to meditation. I guarantee it. Guarantee it works like a charm, and it's completely free.
We're gonna be busy, aren't we?
Yes.
And you have to, because this is ugly and convoluted and twisted beyond description, and then, like I said, just that podcast that we did with Justin about the vampire hunters, and then what we did is we tied Lincoln to Henry Ford Lincoln cars. Henry Ford's favorite president was Abraham Lincoln. We tied Lincoln to Ford to Hitler, Hitler to Joe Kennedy, Joe Kennedy and Hitler to JFK, JFK to Trump. And there it is. There's your line of vampire hunters through and through. They've all been doing it. And they're heroes. And that's why Colleen and I and Justin and Marie is what we share with you week in and week out, is that moving forward, we never stop becoming vampire hunters, because we can't let this ever happen again. And so why do you think that I did what I did to poor old Charlie Ward? Just poor Charlie's just trying to make a buck. Leave him alone. He's got his thing, you got your thing, just leave him alone. I just wanted to point out that we have to, moving forward, we cannot tolerate lies. You can't. And it doesn't mean that you have to stone the person to death at all. And like Justin and I were both saying about Charlie, has a lot of qualities about him that would help the many in many ways if he chose to use them for truth, and therefore for God. But he doesn't. He's a grifter. He's just a greasy little grifter that lies to you for money. Get past it. It's the truth. Sorry, but it's the truth. And the point of doing that way back when we didn't have a channel and just pushed us further into anonymity after being rock stars with everything, is to point out that we cannot tolerate lies, and we have to call out the liars. Don't have to hate them, don't have to kill them, but we have to constantly point out the lies. That's a vampire hunter, because the vampires exist through lies. God is the God of the living, which is truth, not the dead, which is lies. So that's a lot for everyone to process. Breathe now, talk amongst yourselves, ask questions, and that's a lot.
That is a lot. But yeah, I do want to give a chance to Amanda and Kathleen and Julia too. If I know you said you had to leave early, so if you've got any more questions, make sure y'all chime in. Love to hear from y'all.
I just wanted to add that when you were talking about how everything's so inverted, and they have the good guys being hated and evil ones being loved, and to kind of build on that as well, I find that they also have they're using people's empathy and compassion as a tool against them. With COVID, if you don't wear a mask and if you don't get the vaccine, then you're a horrible person because you're responsible for your community's health. And, it's just interesting to see how they obviously have no conscience, no heart at all. And then they're using that as a weapon, our hearts and our consciences, against ourselves and each other. That's just kind of a statement I'm going to throw out there. It's madness. It's absolute madness.
I think it's also a tool, because if I have to wear a mask to protect you, well, maybe they can make me have an abortion because of climate change. We don't have room for one more baby here, right? I mean, that when I first heard the mask thing, that is where my mind went. I was like, oh my God, this is so sick.
Yeah, there's no limit, and that's why we have to be so vigilant on standing up to it, because the slippery slope just keeps going. And if people don't truly understand that and see it, then we're doomed. We're doomed to that reality, and that's our choice. But yeah, that's why this all has to be so painfully obvious for everyone, and why it's going to piss off so many people when they realize that this whole time period they've been wearing and pushing masks on people for no reason. I hope it pisses them off. It's supposed to, because it's supposed to have them come to that realization on their own that I'm never going to do that again. I'm never going to give up myself and just abdicate my sense of truth and what's right. That's what this is all about.
We have to keep freedom number one. No matter what, I have family members, everyone doesn't agree with me, but that's okay, because their freedom has to be number one.
Absolutely. Yeah. If someone chooses to wear a mask for the rest of their life, wear it in the shower, wear it while, whatever else, go for it. But you can't tell me what to do. You get to do you as much as you want, but That's your world. I'm not living in it.
Freedom part, I totally understand. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I started treatments for this MS when I was first diagnosed, and I had such severe reactions to every treatment. That's when my whole hatred of the pharmaceutical industry came into play. And until this had happened, I honestly thought I was going to lose my freedom. I live in New York State. I assumed they were going to just inject me with whatever they wanted to. You know, it was terrifying. It really is. So yeah, I've always wanted to stand up. I'm home. I can't drive anymore. I no longer work. So I'm home alone 10 hours a day while my husband works. So I feel like I have no voice because I don't leave the house. I feel like I've been in training for this for like 5 years. I literally do not leave the house. I was going out once a week to get groceries, but in the past year, I've left the house 4 times because I don't want to make extra work for my husband because he's working his tail off. He's an essential worker. So I won't go to the store. He can go to the store and be back before, before I can even, it takes too much time for me to go and I don't want to put that extra pressure on him. So that's been but when I do go out, there is no mask on my face. I refuse to do that. And I think I get a pass because I have a walker. People look at me like, oh, well, she won't, she doesn't have to wear one because she's sick. Well, I wouldn't be wearing one. I refuse. My my very first grandchild's first birthday was last 2 weeks ago. And we were supposed to be, it was in this bar restaurant and I was supposed to wear a mask and I absolutely refused. And it's weird, as the night went on, everybody started losing their masks. And I'm like, really? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. But that was a whole thing because my son, this is the hard part, is when people half believe. He totally believes something is going on, but yet he's still living a normal lifestyle, which drives me insane. And they would not let me hold her till she was 8 months old because I refused to get vaccinated for whooping cough. Refused. And I'm just like, I held my ground. I did not touch my granddaughter for 8 months. It's horrible watching everybody hold.
That is horrible. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I got to surprised because she was fully vaccinated. So suddenly I could hold her. Don't leave the house. What kind of threat am I? They just don't understand. And it's so hard for me. And they're very anti COVID vaccine. And it's just like, I asked, I go, I don't understand. And I think it's because they actually believe in whooping cough. They had a friend's baby die, and that's why they're so adamant about it. But my daughter-in-law is so conventional medicine, loves doctors, believes in doctors, has so many health ailments, but doesn't really. Everybody thinks I'm different because I can't walk. It's like we're all humans. We all have issues. You just don't see your issues, and they're young and they think that whatever symptoms they have, that's just normal, because that is normal. Everybody has a symptom. So it's just hard. I wanted to keep her in my life, so I was going to do anything. If I have to look at you and not touch you, that is fine. So, and my husband, he works in the 3D world, so it's really hard. I listen to Charlie and everybody all day long, and I'm like elevated to this other level. And he walks through the door in his 3-dimensional crap that goes on. So he listens to me and he believes it, but then he's so in that world that he doesn't know what to do with himself, honest to God. And so, yeah, I just keep trying to. It's hard for me to. I don't understand the people that are serving two masters, who think they can serve two masters when they're really. I mean, I guess I did it my whole life too, not knowing that's what I was doing. But like Charlie says, when you know better, do better. And that's what I'm trying to do. But I have a real hard time with these people saying that they know what's going on, but yet they're still living a normal lifestyle. I have a hard time with that. So whatever. So yeah, that was just my spiel. So yeah, I could go on and on all day on that, because I've been anti-vax. Because I've been home, all I do is research and listen to podcasts and try to educate myself until I found Charlie. God bless him. Oh my God, I've been from one thing to another. I grew up. Charlie, don't have a stroke, okay? I grew up a meat cutter's daughter. I used to eat raw meat out of the grinder. Come on. Well, I look back and I'm just like, that was just the way of life. My family, my dad's family owned a grocery store. They were all meat cutters. And it's like, that was my world. It horrifies me, absolutely horrifies me. I was sick my whole life. I had my appendix rupture when I was 10. So many things happened. Obesity, fighting that, oh God, it's just been, it's no wonder my health was the way it is. So for the past 5 years, my husband and I have lost 100 pounds a couple times, gained it back. It's like ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So I've tried, I found keto, and that made sense because it's like, oh, I haven't been eating good fats. My myelin is made for fat. That's why I have MS. Played that game for a little while until it didn't work anymore. But we lost a lot of weight. So you think it's where everybody thinks that their weight is, your health, and it's absolutely not the case. So we both, but the thing is, I was always doing the reading, and I would do it, and then he would just follow what I was doing. He never did the work himself. It still drives me crazy. So it's like, I feel responsible for the way he behaves, and it's very hard. I'm like, you're a 55-year-old man. I do not want to be your mother. I do not want to, but he just sees what I'm doing and follows along. So then I felt bad when I found out the truth about the keto diet. I'm like, oh my God, this, no wonder it's not working. Then I found the medical medium. I've been so anti-conventional doctor for my entire life because they didn't listen to me. They kept saying they're the experts. And I'm like, excuse me, I'm the expert. I live with these symptoms every single day. So that got me, I was very anti-doctor everything. So I found the medical medium. I'm like, I'll listen to a spirit more than I will listen to a doctor. Followed that for a year and a half. I think what happens is you get obsessed. It's like, I think this is right, so I'm going to keep going. I keep, I'm a cesspool. I was a hairdresser for 25 years. I was around all these toxins, and I've had metal fillings, and I'm like, I just felt like I was a toxic cesspool. It's taken me 55 years to get this nasty. It's going to take me a long time to heal from it. Well, after 2 years, I'm like, I'm not really getting any better. I did 600 consecutive days of celery juice. I was 32 ounces every day. I was on it. And I'm just like, I finally took a look, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't right. I'm not getting any better. Like, I'm not even having micro wins, nothing. So then I heard Marie talking about Dr. Morse, and I really fought even looking into him, because I'm just like, I hate doctors. I don't care. I'd listened to naturopaths who were wrong too. I'm just like, I've read every book under the sun. I'm just like, I'm so tired of all the wrong information. So I looked at Dr. Morse's videos, and I'm just like, this man is who I need, so I just started. Well, I've been listening to the Josh X and all of them around Christmas time. I'm like, I am absolutely not in a place to drink juice all the time. I'm like, I'm not quite there yet. I'm like, I don't know how these people are living on just fruit. So, but the more I listen. And then Marie was talking, and they were juice feasting in March. I'm like, I got to do this. I found Dr. Morse, and then I've been almost all fruit now for almost 2 months. And I feel wonderful. I know it's still really hard though. You feel like I thought that the medical medium was right. And it's like steamed potatoes and steamed vegetables. And I'm just like, that's been my life for 2 years. So I'm the person that I will switch on a dime. If I think it's going to help me, I don't need to break it. I'm switching the next day, which is what I did when I went from keto to medical medium. I just stopped. I'm just like, that's when I stopped eating all kinds of meat. I went from the standard American diet thinking that my food quality was the problem. So I got grass-fed everything, thinking I was doing everything right. And then I found like, nope, I'm done. I'm done everything. So I've been vegetarian for 2 years almost, but it's not enough. And then when I found out that vegetables even slow you down, I'm like, I'm thinking I was way off. I was way wrong on the fruit. And I added fruit back in. I love fruit. And that was a big part of it, fruits and vegetables. But the vegetable part is what's slowing me down. Since I've stopped eating vegetables, I've been improving. I started Dr. Morse herbs. I'm on the fruit. I'm going for it. I don't care anymore. So if everybody, thinks I'm crazy, I don't care. I do not care. My health comes first. I'm living for med beds because I just want a clean vessel. I want a clean vessel so I can start over. But if that doesn't happen, I know now that I can heal by myself. So it's just going to take, I just don't know how much time it's going to take. And it's hard my husband eats steamed potato. I love potatoes. So to smell his potatoes every night, I'm like, oh, I've water fasted in the past, these other doctors, but they had said to break it with like, kefir. And so I never cut out the dairy. I've never done it quite right. I did 7 to 9. I did 7 to 9 day water fast. I like, how can I not eat and be that strong? But when there is, it's like, is when I make up my mind to not eat something, I don't do it, but then I get weak again. And so I just have to stop being so not mean to myself, just so having such high expectations. Like if I start fruit, I need to stay fruit forever and never ever slip up. And I'm having to give myself some calm down, be nice to yourself. I tell my husband all the time, I go, talk to yourself like you're a 7-year-old boy. I'm like, say nice things to little Chris, say nice things to little Kathleen, be nice to her. She needs you to be kind to her. And I'm trying and trying, and it's a whole thing. Everybody knows, everybody goes through the same thing. So I want my life back. And I know that God did this to me and left me alone. So I would go inside and try to figure things out. So
You wouldn't be here right now on this call
I
otherwise.
know. Can you imagine if I hadn't gone through all this? And I've been saying that for years. I know there's a reason for this. I was in some dark places at some times, but it's just me and my dogs hanging out. We just every day while my husband works, and it's just like, this is what I was supposed to be doing. And I now know this. And yeah, I was raised Catholic. Oh my God. So you got anyone that hasn't learned it, the unlearning is really difficult. I'll be 55 in June. And it's the unlearning that's hard. I'm ready for anything. I will believe anything. I'm down. Let's do this. I'm like, that's where I'm at. So
And as far down as you've been, that's how high you're going to go. You are going to feel
can't wait.
so amazing.
I can't wait for everything to I'm like, I'm not excited for the disclosure. And I'm just excited for the new life. I want that to start. I want this crap to go away so we can start. I need to start fresh. I would be in Mexico if I could walk. I can't drive. I can't walk. I'm like, I would love to go. If it's more than 68 degrees, I can't walk. I get overheated and then all my motor shuts down. So I'm dreaming of Mexico, but I'm just like, I can't walk on a beach. I can't take the heat. So anyway, that's that. I did have a question, Charles. I know, and this is all just my endless curiosity. I know you may not have an answer for it, but I want to know why Diana was so close with Mother Teresa if she was so nasty. I want to know why Michael Jackson dangled his baby off a balcony. I want to know how Diana left her children that she adored. I don't know. These are questions I just sit here. I don't care if there's ever answers. I know they'll come out someday, but I'm just being impatient. So, yeah. And I talk with my hands, clearly. Okay.
Wow, Kathleen, you are roaring today. Thank you for showing up so powerfully.
This
is because I shut up Monday. I have so much to say, I didn't know where to start. So yeah, anyway.
Wow, I am so honored to share this space with you, sister. Truly, you are
I love
speaking.
You people. It's like, you're my friend. These are the people my husband will watch. I'm like, listen, the YouTube, like Charlie's on, like, don't talk. I'm listening. And it's like these voices, this is how it's been with all these podcasts I've listened to. I'm like, I will talk back to the radio because I'm alone all day. So it's like, hey, you guys, how are you? You're my peeps. You don't even know it, but you are. So yeah, whatever.
You're getting so much love in the chat. Everyone just is loving on you and loving your story and loving your sharing. So when we share,
I could go for probably 3 hours telling my story. There's been so many things. Oh my God. Because my younger son was sexually abused too. That's a whole other show. So it's been a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It is a lot. Well, thank you for showing up. I love you so much. Yeah. Did you have any questions?
I just looked them off. I want to know opinions on Diana and Michael Jackson and Prince or Mother Teresa with Diana. Those are all my questions.
Okay.
I had a whole list of like 10, but those are the ones I'm going to go with.
Yeah, first off, let me just reiterate. Thank you very much, Kathleen, for the courage and the strength to show all of that. And remember, that's a healing process because you're letting go. So it's so important. And then right now you're being gifted in this very moment. Santa Claus is merrily prancing about inside of you, rewarding you for letting all of that go, because it's so healthy and it's so important. And that's what I want to reiterate to everyone. Just you have these are this is humanity what has been going on. And people laugh. No, like Amanda McLeod from Australia, Amanda, Emily Stain have been targeted a lot, and they've gone through a lot. And Amanda is just such an incredible, selfless, wonderful, enlightened soul. And she wasn't able to go to her father's funeral. And you don't get a second chance in the physical realm. You don't get a second chance for things like that. And then for Kathleen, with access, to her grandchild. I mean, these are crimes against humanity. And what Amanda was referring to earlier is this is the perfect example of that. And then they play upon our compassion, our sympathy, and whatnot, and our ignorance, and then we just forgive them for putting us in these situations. Well, because maybe something might have come from it, or we're always just trying to give everyone a chance. We're always trying to to believe the best in everyone in every second, and they don't waste any time with caring or feeling or loving. Nope, they just go right to ripping your heart out. And that's why they're very successful, because they just go. The problem for them, and that's why they have nothing but problems. That's why their plans, which are all so well laid out, never come to fruition fully, and they're always struggling with these surprises that come to them. It's because it's God's creation. It's not their creation. It's God's creation, and we're supposed to win. God has already won because it's God's creation. We're supposed to be winning. So that's why everything doesn't go their way. And when you start standing up for yourself like this, then you're going to start winning. And that's because God will come to you powerfully and just help you with the resurrection of your soul. And that's all it is. That's what born again Christians is supposed to be about. Is the borning again is every March, is every Passover, and you do the work or you don't. You get another notch around the belt or a ring around the tree, or you don't. You keep living. It's your choice, but it takes dedication. It takes work. You have to do the work. So I wanted to share all of that because we have to take this seriously. These people are evil. What they've done is pure evil. The mask thing, believe me, it was never going to go away. It was never. And like Justin's saying, there are some people that may go another decade with masks in the face of everything else. They may go another decade wearing masks. That's how evil this is. And just a quick link that I wanted to make mention before when I was talking about Freud, and most people know Freud's nephew, Edward Bernays, and that's twisted. That's just twisted person as well. But Bernays' nephew, I think, as well, or is it Bernays' grandson? I can't remember. But relating to Edward Bernays and therefore Freud, is the co-founder and president of Netflix.
Yeah.
These are psychologists that study your mind, and you watch Netflix.
Oh, these are psychopaths.
And they're psychopathic psychologists that study your mind. Colors, words, fonts, shapes, themes, music, hertz, frequency. Everything is considered.
To cast their net.
Rate of frame rate for the movies, frame rate, everything is an illusion. Everything is a distraction. Everything is trying to cast a spell upon you. It's a trap. It's an absolute trap. So just please be aware of these things in the short term. It's a complete trap. And then, like Michael Jackson hanging, did that happen? Did it really happening when my longer having to worry about having his kids kidnapped and murdered, or him being taken out. I think we can maybe in the future hear the truth about what's going on. Did he do that, or did they CGI him doing that?
Or was it a
Do
real
we know what
baby? I
happened
mean,
to
there's
his
a
kids
lot that
now?
we don't. I don't.
No.
No one knows.
I think his family, I think, but so much has
I
been
also
hidden. We don't
wonder
really.
if Harry and William are fake too. I can't imagine her leaving her kids. I just can't.
Yeah.
If she had a choice, yeah.
That's right.
We
So
don't know.
we just.
Well, that's the
we
same
just-
thing with witness protection. You're either going to be dead and not with them, or alive and not with them. So it's still devastating as a mother to know that. And that's what's hard as a mother too, to watch my grown sons. But it's like I taught them everything they know. You know what I'm saying? Unknowingly, like they saw how I made food for them. They saw how we didn't go to church because I was so and I know now it's because I didn't feel comfortable going. I hated going to church, hated it. And I'm proud of myself now for having that intuition that it was not right. But I never taught my kids, like my older son, I've told him lately that I've been working on my spirituality and learning about the Bible and learning about things. So I never did that before. And he's just like, no offense, Mom, but we never dealt with God when we were growing up. And I'm just like, now I feel not guilty, but I feel bad that they didn't know. They'll learn. I know they'll learn. It's just hard as a mother to let them learn on their own. It's so hard feeling like I taught them to not do that. So that's hard. Just another fun mother guilt thing to do. Yeah.
True, but you know what? This is their journey too. So they have, and at this point, they can pick up the truth. They can hear the seeds. They watch you. You're the lighthouse, and so maybe it'll take a couple of years. Maybe it'll just go boom, spawn.
Right now, he's really listening to everything his wife says, who is so, I try to, it's hard. It's hard. I just want to take my grandbaby. They're feeding her such crap. It's unbelievable. All the processed, like these little, like Gerber puffs. And I'm like, oh my God, she's not even eating real food. Feeding her the meat they're eating. I'm like, oh my God, my poor baby's being poisoned. I just hope that she can survive long enough until med beds come out, and she's fully vaccinated. I'm like, oh please God, let this child be healed later on. That's all. That's what I pray for every day, is that she just survives. And I hope she's not being so poisoned, because I talk to her. I try to talk to her telepathically every day. I'm like, hi, you there? Because I know she's a baby. And hopefully her frequency is tuning in and she can hear grandma talking to her. But you know, everyone thinks, yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's really hard. You're very fortunate that you have that. Shani is so smart and Dante is learning, and Marie's kids are so beautiful. Her wanting a third eye tattoo on her foot, henna, I'm like, I love this child. They're so lucky that they get this start. So lucky. Anyway, I babble.
Well, and beauty is in the eye of the beholder, because Marie is surrounded by people that want to, skin her alive. So it's a matter of perspective.
School, let her teach them at the beach. Like, don't even send them back there. Please don't send your kids back to school. Nope. Good. I had so much trouble with my kids' school. I have no time or space for that. And I feel like those are the people, the teachers and the educated ones are the most indoctrinated. They're going to have the hardest time coming around to all of this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Ego. Remember, ego is the devil. The left brain is hell. Ego is the devil, and it's a choice where you cast your net, left or right. So brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff, Kathleen. And remember, everyone, you can heal. Don't worry about the vaccines, and I mean serious things that have happened to children. A lot of serious things that have happened to children. It can all be healed. Miracles are drops of rain. They are rays of sunlight. All you have to do is allow
I didn't want death. You can't heal from death. I just didn't want her to have such a severe, because I've listened to a lot of vaccine, and RFK Jr. Love these people. They're on it. And That was my biggest fear. Is like, I really don't want her to die, because I do believe SIDS is all vaccine related. I don't believe in SIDS at all. So I needed her to survive long enough to get through this. That's my goal. My mom too. My mom is a pharmaceutical nightmare. I think she's probably on 10 drugs. I just want everyone I love to live long enough to make it through this. That's all. I'll keep praying. Just keep praying.
But always pray out of knowingness that it's going to happen in strength. Never pray, because
Okay.
if you pray out of weakness as a victim, just don't even bother.
Okay.
Don't even bother, because that's a low frequency. It's going nowhere. So when you know, when you commune with God, and
We're starting a new word. It's called noeum instead of hopium.
Okay.
Noeum.
Good. I like it. Very nice.
Yeah,
So,
do it from a space, like pray from a space of asking to receive, to ask to
Oh, I do
receive
that.
God's wisdom
Yeah, okay.
on how to be of the best help in whatever way, because that's empowering. That's that setting that intention that I am ready and I am willing for God to empower me, for me to be empowered in order to make that change.
Okay. Well, it's not for me, but what about for people that I love? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just
Well,
praying that they have the strength to.
same kind of thing. I mean,
Okay.
we can't infringe upon free will, so you can't pray against someone's free will, but you
Okay.
can pray to be, it's more of a meditation of receiving. I am receiving God's wisdom, and God knows my needs, God knows my wants, God knows what's best for everyone. We can't infringe upon free will, but if we are receptive to that, then God will always lead us and lead others to that space if they're willing. But the willingness, it has to be key.
Got it. Can I ask just one more question? It just came to me. You were talking about dreams the other day, Charlie, and my son and his wife now dated for like 9 years before they got married. And about 6 years ago, I dreamt of a little girl who shocked me. I'm like, when they told me they were pregnant, I knew they were having a girl. I'm like, I dreamt of my granddaughter. I know that's her. Well, 2 days before their gender reveal, I dreamt of her again. I'm just like, this is just so creepy. And then my mother's very much into genealogy. That's a whole other topic. I had to do, I did DNA tests for my husband and myself, and I'm into the genealogy, or I did a lot of research in that. And my mother had actual scrapbooks of photos that my grandfather went back to the 1600s without a computer. I genuflect to that man. I don't know how he got all the information he got. It was amazing. Anyway, my mother had all these old photos, and I was looking through her genealogy book one day, and there was that little girl staring back at me. She is a distant relative. I can't even tell you. It freaked me right out. I go, oh my God, that's the little girl I dreamt of. And I know, and she looks so much like me and my mother, and my granddaughter looks like me and my mother. It's just so freaky. So is it possible that I dreamt of my granddaughter? Is that some kind
no,
of
not in the conventional sense, but were you downloaded? Of course, yeah. It's the downloads happen all the time. The miracle is around you all of the
Because
time.
I was so still eating meat and so not even in that realm when this all happened. It still shocks me. Okay. Wow, I downloaded her. I did. I'll have to send you the pictures. I sent them to Siobhan because Siobhan dreamt of her niece too. And I connected with Siobhan over that and sent her all the pictures. It's like, you're going to blow your mind. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Anyway, I'll be quiet.
Okay, Penny and Amanda and Julia and Angela, come on.
Yeah, what y'all got?
I was
Any
just
other-
thinking about before I became pregnant, my son came to me. His spirit came and told me to prepare. It was so cool. And now, he's not listening to anything I'm saying, Kathleen, so kind of like you. But these people chose us for their parents for a reason. And for several reasons. And maybe there's just going to be a certain point in the future where it's like, okay, that's it. That's why. So don't feel bad if your children are not hearing you right now, because you're exactly the right parent for them. And they're the right child for you, even if they drive you crazy sometimes.
Yeah, we're all teachers for each other, no matter, everyone is our teacher, no matter who it is or how brief the encounter. It's an example for us to learn from, and everyone's playing a role to teach us something. So the more that we can be receptive to that, the more we gain from those experiences, and the more that we learn and grow from them. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful reminder. Thank you. Any other? Yeah, Amanda, what's up? What you
Got a
got?
question, kind of touching on changing gears here a bit.
Yeah, go for it.
The situation in Canada, the strict, I don't know, protocol and all that jazz. I have kind of a question about the charters of rights and freedoms. So I think that was developed or signed off on in like the early 80s. And there's pictures on the government website of Pierre Trudeau and the Queen signing off on it. Why would they have drafted the charter if they were just going to plan to, take it away, like in, I don't know, 30, 40 years later, I just don't understand the mythology there. Like, obviously they had their plan for 2020 and moving forward. But why? It just feels like it's counterintuitive to their end goal.
I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, go ahead, Justin.
the way that I see it is it's like a ritual sacrifice of teasing with an idea, getting people on board with that idea, and then having that flip quick inversion, because that just distorts us even more. It takes us even farther away, and it causes more pain and suffering. And that's all that they try and do. They just try and find inventive and creative ways to make it worse and make it, more inverted and distort the truth even more. So that's just another way that they could, like fatten up with this idea of something good and get people excited about it, and then yank the rug out from under
Bait and
them.
switch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it just feels like it's completely goes against their plans, now, because that's the thing that's really working against them is, with all of these fines and, locking people up. And, I just feel like that's, when we go to court over these kind of things, they're going to get thrown out. These fines that the police are detaining out left, right, and center, like they're going to get thrown out because of the charter. It goes against. So I'm just like, well, why would you? I mean, I'm glad they did, obviously, but I'm just thinking from their madness, which they probably can't even make sense of. But, I just didn't understand it. I didn't know if, Charlie or Justin or anyone had insight into that.
Yeah, go for it.
Really quickly, Amanda, it makes perfect sense because that's what they do. So it's false hope. It's the illusion of democracy. It's the illusion of freedom. So they have to give it. If you never give it, then it's the Gulag Archipelago or a prison, and then people will rebel because you force them out of the lazy midbrain into the fight or flight mechanism, and some will choose to fight or flight against their imprisonment. So they don't want that. So they realize that doesn't work. So you have to create this illusion. So Amanda, that's the world we live in. We live in a world where, like, Americans for 100 years have been thinking and saying that they're the most free nation on the earth, and that it's a nation of freedom, and they have the right to Baskin and Robbins and 51 flavors, and that's real democracy, and that's freedom in action. And there's no freedom anywhere, just the illusion of freedom. So the Charter of Rights and Freedoms through Pierre Trudeau, after he finished bankrupting the country, all those sort of string of sort of Scottish and banking presidents that we had that were very frugal. Canada was very slow growing and slow developing in many ways. Canada didn't have vast ocean to ocean highways that were paved and whatnot. Even the main highway still had sections that were unpaved, but we weren't in debt. And when Trudeau came into office, people just need to know this. I mean, he introduced pedophilia rampant across Canada, especially in Montreal and your coast, and all of the coves and Vancouver. And Vancouver has been just turned into a nightmare, absolute nightmare. And it goes all the way up and down the coast, and it's just all about trafficking children, submarines everywhere. It's terrible. It's terrible what most Canadians consider themselves, which is, you know, very sort of just hardworking, honest individuals, and you live in a complete illusion where hell runs free in Canada. And it's blind to it. So why has Canada been picked up? Because you're asleep and you need this. And if
we're nicely asleep.
Nicely, politely asleep.
We're taught well.
Yeah, I feel like Nova Scotia, it's like comatose. You know, there is some awake people, but like it is asleep. And I don't know what it's going to take to really jolt them awake. You know, and I'm not judging because I was there, you know, like I've spent, you know, 35 years there. So yeah, I just don't know what it's going to take.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to get to that point where everyone that's left who doesn't see it is just going to take that really abrupt shaking. And unfortunately, for those who chose that route and haven't had any inkling of seeing the truth, it's going to be one of the hardest things they've ever gone through. So all of this is just playing out to try and slowly get anyone who's willing to see, anyone, because the more that are there, because once it all starts, then this sort of damage control has to be done by those who are awake, by all of us who see it clearly. So every single one of us who becomes activated and steps into that role, then we're automatically like a damage control agent. You know, we're working to help sort of settle and keep everyone down, so to keep everyone in that state of calmness and realization, and like, hey, I've been studying this, listen, like, you know, check it out. So everything that's happening now is just kind of like trying to gain as many of us into that mix as possible, because they can't do it, you know, they can't do damage control from a central space. It has to come from all of us. It has to come up each of us individually. And each of us are very powerful in that. We're very, very effective at being able to do that. So the more of us there are, you know, for every one of us, it's potentially like hundreds of people that we could help to smoothen and calm down and keep in a space. So it's really, it's frustrating to see that there aren't, you know, the majority of people getting it, but it doesn't need to be the majority of people. It just needs to be a lot of people to help smooth out once it does all start to happen.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's kind of one of the things that I'm challenged with at this moment is my role and my purpose as like why I'm awake to it and how I can help, because I'm just trying to figure out like how can I help, because at this point I'm kind of feeling like if anyone comes to me with questions, all I'm really can do is like confirm their worst nightmares, you know? So like, and try to give them comfort in that. But at the same time, like, how can I don't know, just peace and calmness? I don't know. Like, that's where I'm kind of struggling a bit, is like,
just be in that space of surrender, and just keep asking, but don't take thought to try and figure out like what it is you're supposed to do. But just be in that space of receiving, and you will always be led to that perfect space. You will always be met with the exact right people, and you will say the exact right things. And you're doing it, like you're doing that. So thank you for your service, because it's truly showing, and it's only going to show and continue in that sort of way. But you know, we can get stuck in that mind trap of where we're like trying to analyze and think of like, oh, I'm not doing enough, or what should I be doing more, and that's when we get out of that easy flow path and we start to get into that left brain world, and we start to get in our own way and contradict ourselves and do all this other sorts of things. So you're doing it. Just stay in that space of humility and surrender, and you'll be perfect. You'll be absolutely perfect.
thank you.
And we know we're going to ascend. because last December, Jupiter and Saturn together in the sky, right? Jupiter and Saturn. So this is happening. The pineal gland, the crown chakra, as above, so below. There's no stopping it. It's just a matter of time.
Nothing can stop what is coming. It's true.
We've sort of
Right.
been
And I was just going to say it's kind of the critical mass 100th monkey effect on the horizon too.
Yeah, and remember to everyone as well, thank you for bringing that up, Julia, and remember to everyone as well that Nasara has to be at the front end of it. This is why. Everything that we're talking about and how horrific this is and how people are going to be, because once the reveal plays itself out, it's at levels that most won't be able to deal with because of the complexity of it. So this is why you have to have something massively good at the other side of this, because you have to have more than hope at that point, because people have completely lost hope. You have to show them something, and the showing of something is this world that is going to get mapped out, and so this will play itself out, and it could play itself out, right away with things like med beds and the ability for no cost for people to go and to begin to start having these frequency, and that's all it is just frequency treatments. It's just unblocking your chakras. It's just the subtle body is shining its light again. The Ida and the Pingala are free once more to lock eyes at the child in the ajna, in the third eye chakra. So father, mother, child. And that's virtue, that's righteousness. And so these things have to be unveiled. So just know that there's going to be some really great things. And again, remember the basis to Nasara, which is, I've always felt that what we've shared with everyone about Nasara is the most important of the teachings, because what we're showing you is that free of any other sort of magical little gifts that everybody sort of tends to look at Nasara as some kind of Easter basket, and inside is just treasures and riches and stuff. Mostly what Nasara is just getting rid of what is completely impossible, illegal, unlawful. It is anti-God. So the first thing to go is going to be taxes. Bye our IRS. That is just, and as a kid, when I was growing up and just contemplating these things, it's like, how can this exist? How do people allow this? And how are we all just okay with your sweat equity or intellectual property being taxed? And that's the first thing. You have no say in the matter. It's just gone. That's just flat out wrong. And I just remember confronted by the weight of these things, just like working for the rest of your life going, I can't do this. This is just such an antithesis to my essence and to my form. I know I'll never be able to do this. I won't be able to get through this. And I didn't. I didn't because I knew. And that's where you have to get to, is the knowingness, Amanda. It's just the knowingness. And then you're the light of the world. And that's that little terrible diagram that I was trying to show you there. And that's the lighthouse. You have to become the lighthouse. You're the shining light, because if you don't do it, nobody else will. It's like Colleen and I creating this and doing this. It's because we got to a point where we're going, clearly, if we don't do this, no one else is going to do this. That's it. And we came into a community called the Truth Community, and virtually none of them have not made any contact, have not made any requests for us to be on.
That was an eye-opener for us.
On their
Absolutely.
shows at all. They don't care.
But it didn't take long to figure it out.
They don't care.
Yeah.
Because they're selling shit, and they know that they're selling shit. You can't have on someone brings the light to the fact that they're selling shit 24/7. Eat it up, Steve Hughes. Eat it up. I don't want to. Shit, I know, but it's good. Eat it. It's good. Eat it. Okay. And so that, Canada and Australia, look what happened to us. That tells you everything you need to know about Australia. Nations and image and power.
We're kind of losing the voice here, guys. Might want to go back like 5 seconds.
So yeah, so just remember that the countries that have been targeted, like the UK, like Australia, like New Zealand, like Canada, is because you're fast, absolutely fast asleep, and it's a service. It's not a punishment. It's a service. And then the Amandas of the world are so important to just be strong and to be the light of this world, the lighthouse. And you showed them what it looks like to be strong through this. Not okay with this, but strong through this. And the knowingness that we're going to get to the other side. And people attack Colleen and I with hopium because they can't attack the things that we're saying because we teach the truth. So you have to attack somewhere, so then you're giving people hope. As opposed to what? And people draw hope from our work because it's the truth. They're not drawing hope from this because it's pulling miracles out of your butt or something like that. No, it's the truth. It's tangible. It's real. We're giving you tangible examples. Pineal gland, melatonin, serotonin. Meditation is the key. Breathing is the way. Your diet starts this process. So there it is. It's in plain sight. And that's why they can't have us on the shows and won't. And absolutely won't. So, and as we get closer to the reveals, people are terrified of even the spiritual community, terrified of having us come back on their shows because everything we've been saying is coming true. And their message has been predicated on aliens. Their message has been predicated on someone better is coming to save you. And their credibility all goes to hell. So if you thought we were social pariah before, we are pariah like you've never imagined in this moment, because people's towers at their core are shaking. Everyone and everything is shaking because suddenly everything is uncertain moving forward. Except we're not shaking because we know, and we've been telling you what's coming, and it's all good. It's all good. But what we've been trying to say to you all along is that before you start forgiving people, hey, Jeffrey Epstein, get over here. Let me give you a big hug and a big, big noodle on the head because, buddy, I got to buy you some beers, man. The way that you did Epstein Island and just obliterated millions of children, man, I gotta hand it to you because you woke me up, buddy. Thank you so much. It's like, no, give your head a shake. Give your head a shake. That person might be helping for now, and then he needs to be executed. And it's that simple. And we need to get tough with vampires. And that's why Justin and I and Colleen have been doing all of these shows with you about vampires, to show you the cold, hard truth of this. These people don't care. They go right, that's why they're successful, because they go right to killing you. They go right to stabbing you in the heart. And you're like, maybe I can save them. Maybe we can be friends. And they're like, I'm just going to stab you right in the heart. And that's why they're successful. So, and I want to, so thank you for all of this. And I want to hear some more, because we haven't heard much from Penny. And Penny is filled with great thoughts and ideas. So Penny, could you please jump into this as well, please?
Okay, well, you brought up New Zealand, and I, of course, being from New Zealand, I'm interested in New Zealand's part in this because, I grew up in Christchurch, which has the one and only Antarctic base, and my dad worked at the airport, so we saw the planes going to Antarctic a lot. And since discovering the tunnels and the link of them, I have this feeling that there's a pretty significant tunnel in the South Island that leads straight to Antarctic that Ghislaine's been using with her submarines. And I just want to, I wonder why New Zealand, I know it's because it's close to Antarctic, but why are they so asleep? Not one of my family friends, I have a big family, we're very close, there's no falling out ever between any of our family. but not one of them are on my page, not one.
Wow.
Well, I've been trying to save a lot of the stuff about Australia, New Zealand for the end, because things just got so out of hand when we began to reveal the things that were going, and people were just freaking out, and it was, we don't want to do that. It's bad. There's
Yeah, I know.
very little land in the southern hemisphere for a reason, because you're supposed to be around Mount Meru and the miracle of magnetism and the pulse, and there's no life for us at the ice wall. There's just this return of the system, and that's how it works. So that's why north and south are completely different, and it baffled people like James Cook, and that's why he spent so much time searching for an inlet to prove that Antarctica was a continent, and he could never find it. 5 years, and he could not find a significant inlet, and nobody wants to hear that. But New Zealand are quiet people, and that's a good thing, because New Zealanders are very prone to be able to drop in and be inside themselves. But if you don't do the work and to connect to God, then you're one step short of becoming a zombie. And so they've done that, and so they've given New Zealand everything that New Zealanders want, which is the illusion of security and normalcy, female prime ministers and female ministers, and everything's going to plan, and everything looks the way it should in New Zealand, while taxes continue to go through the roof, and all you're doing is just working for the government. It's insanity. And then all the while, the South Island and Christchurch. Why would they target Christchurch? And they always have. Christchurch has been a key component, and that Southern Island is just littered with tunnels and bases, and it's out of the way. And that's why, because it's out of the way. Nobody sees anything there, and the people are as peaceful as sheep, and they get away with murder, and they have in New Zealand.
She has.
And yeah. Some of the people you have been seeing, especially of late, coming into positions of power, these are wow. And wait till Jacinda, wait till you find out who she really was and related to. You will just not even believe it. It's just incredible. All of this is incredible. It's all a hoax. It's all a hoax. It's all rigged. It's all a hoax. They're not New Zealanders. They're most men are not men. They're women, and most women are not women. They're men, and so it's all I can say at this point is that with Australia and New Zealand, it's worse than you ever thought, and it's going to take time, but it will. And the answer has always been there, and that's the AB originals, the mother father originals, the Aboriginals. They got it right.
Yeah.
They showed you the way.
But you've got Canada, New Zealand, Australia. They're all the satellites of
Dominions of England.
Yep.
The Rothschilds. So
they attacked us hard.
yeah. So when you think of England and the Queen and the King, no. When you think of England or Great Britain or the UK, just think Rothschilds. That's the Rothschild turf.
Yeah. I hear she's going to die on Sunday.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's already
Interesting.
long gone, but maybe yeah.
Mm.
So thank you for asking that. If you've got more, Penny, please ask away.
Well, I did. I was just wanted to. Angela was saying things about the kids, and there's some things there that really came home to me because I am a little concerned about my kids, but not in that I want to change them or anything, and knowing that they'll come around in their time. But right now they think I'm crazy, but they were brought up very spiritually. I was meditating a lot at the time when they were kids. We were vegetarian. they grew up with White Light and Merry Summer Rain, and they had all her little kids' spiritual books and stuff. And
Beautiful.
I don't know what happened. Well, my daughter went to university, so that was sad. She's apparently I'm not very smart and I'm not a critical thinker, because she did go to university and she knows how to research. But even my son, who's a musician, he's just such a gentle soul, born on my birthday, and we are just like kindred souls. But he just not interested, can't see any of this, and worries about me. And I say, no, you don't have to worry about me. And like even this morning, I had an argument with my daughter because she's worried about me because I've lost weight, and you can't be happy all the time, Mum. Well, yeah, actually, you can. You can be happy all the time. But it's not natural. Well, yeah, it is. Oh, hang on, I got to go now. The pizza's at the door. Bye. And yeah, so I'm finding that really tough, that I can't even speak to my kids. That's a hard thing for me. And like I was planning to go back to New Zealand to live, but I just can't do that anymore. It's just not something I can do. So it's just going to be a quick visit and then on to Mexico, because I just need to be with people who I can be me.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, that is absolutely true. And it is everything. You just need to be with people that allow you don't. Sometimes we need that. Sometimes we just need that permission slip that allow us to just be that way. And so when you start creating communities like this, you watch how profound the changes will come with everyone who's within the community, because it will seem like a dream come true, because it is what you've always been looking for, hoping for, and that is like a heaven on earth, with minded people who really care about one another. And that's what we'll do. That's what we do. That's what Colleen and I do. It's what we'll continue to do for everyone and everything, is just continue to care. And we know some things, you know some things, Justin knows some things. Together we know a lot of things, and
our degrees get
bigger and bigger and bigger, and we just help and help, and life gets better and better and better. And then the campfires at nighttime, sharing one's innermost thoughts and staring up at the stars and learning more about this entire process is pure magic. And what you're doing is you're putting the mag, and that's why this has all been about Make America Great Again, MAGA, because it's all about magnetism. They've hidden it from you. And I just want to make clear with regard to Australia and New Zealand, it hasn't been so much that your kids have been targeted, because you both have relatively small populations and a large number of kids would be noticed missing, although it has happened. The bigger issue, and I'll just say this about New Zealand and Australia, your storage facilities. And while they are plundering all around you in the so-called southern hemisphere, they need to store them somewhere first, and then people come and take a look, see what they like. And so there are storage facilities, and that's why you have a lot of celebrities that show up in Australia and New Zealand. That's why. And then they go back to the Caribbean. They go back to their islands in the Caribbean. You watch this. If you could get access to their passports, you'll see a lot of this: America, Caribbean, Australia, Caribbean, America.
I think we're all going to be shocked at what we find in the Antarctic.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. I've got friends that go down regularly to the ice every summer and work down there and think they're doing some amazing job. But I know it's all just a cover. Yeah. Yeah, no. Can't wait to be sitting around the fire and just being able to talk to people. My kids grew up with a fire. They helped me build our first pit fire out the back, and We brought in big rocks from the lake, and we built it. We used to sit around it every night looking at the stars. Beautiful.
There's going to be a time, Penny, when they're going to call you and they're going to be like, so can we come and have a fire, Mom? Like, we heard you're having some really cool fires out there, and they're going to be, absolutely.
I hope so. Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, and like Angela says, we teach each other. So they've taught me a lot of things as well. And even though I'm the teacher and have been a teacher for 20 odd years, it's the kids that teach you the most stuff,
Know thyself.
Yeah. So I'm really glad that right now I'm teaching 2 kids who are really switched on, want to know the real history, want to know the real stuff, don't want any bullshit. They're switched on kids, and it's really nice. I can tell them anything, talk about anything and everything. They're not shocked about anything. It's really good.
So they're switched on.
Yeah, they've got a switched on mum who's kind of there. She kind of doesn't practice what she preaches, which I find hard. But yeah, she's a lovely woman, and she's helping a lot of people as well. So, and the kids just have learned, the truth from day one. It's great.
I wonder if there's a reason for all these people who are not awake yet. I wonder if that's on purpose, if God has a plan that there needs to be a significant number of people not awake quite yet, and that there's going to be a perfect time for it, because it's all correct in divine timing, and we don't know God's will. Even, when I pray that God conforms my will to be whatever his will is, because that's really the only path to happiness. You can't do 2 different things. So that's helped me a lot with all this political stuff in the last year, because I don't know what the master plan is, and maybe it's not supposed to be that my son is awake right now.
Yeah, I feel there's going to be a pretty big mass awakening all at once. There's going to be a mass awakening.
Yeah.
That's why there's so many asleep.
Yeah, you can know though that we are supposed to be awake because again everything is structured for that. So that's the thing. If anyone just takes their first steps to rise, like climbing a mountain, their life changes overnight, and it profoundly shifts them in a direction that takes them higher and higher and higher. So while I hear what you're saying, and I agree with you in that general sense, what we need to remember is that what we're supposed to do, what God wants, is for us to just come home and to be nothing more than just best pals in the entire world, and just let me know you, let me love you, let me know you, let me pick you up, let me hold you, let me hug you. I'm your real father, Luke, and all I want to do is to know you better and to hold you, because He's the Creator. Why people struggle with that, why people would rile against that is incredible. But that is the truth of the matter. And what I don't want to do here is discount the cabal and their work, because everything they've done is to stop us from rising. And I want everyone to see this at its core elemental level. The answer is to rise. So you have to become light. God is light, and you must become light, and light rises, and light is as opposed to heavy. Light is laughter, because it's as opposed to anger and frustration, and light is as opposed to darkness. So it's holistic. It's all those things, and so that's what we normally do. That's how you know we can fly. Absolutely, you know that we can, at the very least, levitate, because we're supposed to rise. And everything that they do, just piece it together for yourself. That's what we should be doing with friends and family and kids and whatnot, is just become a junior detective and piece it together. Look at everything they do. Everything that they do is forcing us to get embroiled in things that don't matter, and that they're all down here. So it's all in your ankles, it's all in the earth, and that's the food that you eat. So again, we're talking so much today about potatoes, and everyone's just deeply addicted to potatoes, and they grow in the ground. And a mango, go man, mango makes man go. Mango is up there towards heaven in the light. But you are toiling in the mud, in the muck, to get a potato that has a worm in it. And you know, people in the chat room have been, again, trying to reinforce the meat, dairy, and egg horror, and meat in particular. And people are rightly saying that meat is filled with parasites. And then there are still people that deny this. Of course meat is filled with parasites. It has to be. It's death. The only way to decompose death is through parasites. Why are you filled with parasites? Because you ate meat for a long time, like Santos Bonacci. Santos, a wonderful, you know, Italian boy, eating all of his meat. Eat it up, Santos. Eat it up, Santos. Eat some more meat, Santos. More meat. And then Santos is going like, I just don't even want to tell you. A year and a half into my fat, I don't want to tell you what just came out of me. I just don't even want to share. It's so horrific. And that's why, because it doesn't decompose. And people will say, and what they'll admit to, that it takes longer to decompose. And no, it doesn't decompose. That's why you're filled with parasites, because you willingly put death inside of you. And the parasites go where there's ever death. So like Justin teaches and Colleen teaches so beautifully, Tony teaches it so wonderfully as well, is that all you have to do is become filled with life. And if you're filled with life, what do the parasites do? They exit you, because they have to. They have no purpose. There's no plan for them to be inside of you if you're filled with life. Eat life and the parasites go. They have to. It's osmosis. It's natural. You don't need an enema. You don't need a pill. Just do the work. And the work is not taking thought. The work is Buddha breathing. And the work is becoming alkaline in your food as well. So parasites in meat, yes, because they have to. They're the only thing that are decomposing that shit that's inside of you. And again, like I showed on the show with Marie yesterday, and a lot of people responded and said that they really like that. And it's just like, we have to keep going back a level to true source. And it's like, you know, you eat a cow because it's filled with really good, nutritious things. Well, what do cows do? They drink water, they absorb sunlight, and they eat plants all day long. So then why don't you just go to source, drink water, eat plants, and absorb sunlight? That makes more sense, and it's direct. You don't have the middleman. You didn't have to murder, torture, rape, and just, wow. Come on. I think that's pretty commonsensical. But then you go, well, what's a plant? Well, it's just absorbing the sunlight and the rain from the mother. So it's rain, water, and sunlight. And so all I need is sunlight and water. And that's what a lot of people get to, right? Is just a water fast and water diet, and just drinking water and absorbing the sunlight. And then you just go, okay, but is that the be all and end all? Like, what is the sun? The sun is not a nuclear furnace that's going to blow up one day. It's a portal. It's a portal. And it's magnetic, by the way. It has to, because it's eternal. So, of course, it's a scalar wave. It tells you it's a scalar wave because it does a scalar wave.
That's how
once
the sun
every
and the
year.
moon stays in the sky.
Through scalar waves, magnetism, exactly. They tell you what they are. And so, so what is the sun? Well, it's a portal to what? The darkness. It comes out of the darkness on the other side. And so then that's source. Darkness is source. And so light comes out of darkness. And so in the Big Bang, they inadvertently or purposefully put the truth in plain sight. They just take God out of it, but they put the truth in plain sight. There was darkness, and then there was everything. Yeah, that's right. That's God. One moment God had awareness, he was self-aware, and then all this became possible. That's the Big Bang. They just don't want to tell you that it's through God. And that's what we just have to get back to. Just know that all of this works in your favor. Know that the trees are fighting for you and your children, and are going to help to wake your children up. And know that the rain and the mother and that the wind of God, and that the plants, and that the butterflies and the bees, and everything that's natural is there to help you, because because you're the pinnacle of God's creation. So help them. Be kind to them because they exist to help you. And that defines us as mankind. We're not human beings. You don't put a descriptor before what you are, man. You're man and the descriptor, kind. And that's what we are. Woman and man, we're kind. And if all you do is get back to being kind, we're going to win forever. And we'll never fall back into this again. So share, love.
It's a hard thing though, being kind when you are, like I'm facing having to, when I go back to New Zealand, of living with my mum for a wee while, and like they are huge meat eaters, just huge. And that to me that's going to be really hard, because I've argued with her many times about it. Like my granddad was a butcher, so we've always had meat. My dad worked on farms, we've always had meat. They've got friends who you can go and get a whole lamb, or you can get a half a cow, and that's how we grew up, and that's what they still do. And even my stepfather worked at a freezing works. He was the one shepherding the cows in. He lasted about 2 weeks because he couldn't stand them crying, and they will still eat meat. They still don't get it. And I got to live with them, and I'm going to find that really hard, really hard. So yeah.
Charlie, what's your take on what's your take on non-player characters?
Non-player characters.
Sleepers.
Are you
NPC.
Are you referencing the fact that there are just sort of people in the background in all of this?
Yes.
Yeah, this is a complex, like I say, I try to couch what I say about this because I don't want to deny the physical realm. This is all real. It's an illusion, yes, but it's still real because you're having an experience. It's just you've been tricked into thinking that there's an out there. You have to go along with the out there. And it's terrible because a group of evil people control the out there, and so you capitulate and you go along with their rules and regulations, and it makes your life a living hell. But none of it is real. And all you ever had to do is say, no, I don't belong to you. And then it's like your parents will say, but you have to because you'll starve. And no. There's food and there's shelter and there's warmth and there's rain and there's soil and there's materials everywhere. And all I have to do is just take them. And of course, what society does to those people is they make you live on the run, right? They chase you because then you're an open ranger. And that's part of what happened in America and Canada during the 1800s and the 1900s, was slowly getting rid of what they called these drifters, bums, just bums. No, a free man, a free man that roamed this beautiful earth and took only what they needed wherever abundance flowed through the Father. That's how you're supposed to live. But everything they do makes that illegal because it's all private property somebody owns. That's insanity. Nobody can own what you didn't create. You can't. You can borrow it from the mother or whatever, but you can't own it. But we live in a system with ownership. So none of this is real, but we go along with it. So to flesh everything out, this is what angels are for. Angels are for, and the angels are just angles of light, and they can manifest into whatever shape or form. That's why with a lot of these people, Julia, that you're referring to, they come out of nowhere. I didn't even see that person. They were just like, I was just looking over there, and now there's 2 people and they're coming over to see me. And it's like, that's it, because that's just light of the sun, which is just everything. It's all gnosis, it's all information, knowledge, truth in every single moment. So it can become anything that it wants to be in any moment, and it manifests for you to continue your physical ride and your physical experience. That's why you're here. Justin does a really good job of explaining that. That's why you're here, to have this experience. So have it, learn from it. But what you're supposed to learn is to be the rebel. To be the rebel and to be free. And then you don't come back here again. Because that rebel that wants to be free exits the door to the right, which is the moksha. That's what every single religion teaches. And that's what these dimensional beings that you're referring to, Julia, really are. They're helping us to complete and flesh out and detail this ride and this journey for us. And then they disappear. You ever notice how these people, they come into your life and then they're just out of your lives and you never see them again and stuff? It's like, yeah, they were just angles of sunlight. And if you ever need them to come back again, they can always re-manifest themselves. So it's a miracle. All of this is miracle. But what's truly real is what is truly you. And what you are, as I was sharing with Marie yesterday, is your awareness. All that you are is the fact that you're aware that you are. And you see, that's a godlike power. Co-creating through the Creator. We can't create anything without the Father. So don't try to do anything without the Father. Why would you think without the Father? Why? If that's what He's telling us to do, and He sees all from a position of perspective high, isn't that where you want to get your advice from? And that's why they make God a joke. That's why religion exists, to turn Jesus and the Bible and God into jokes. It's all just a joke. None of it is real because it's stupid. It's all stupid. And this is what Justin and Colleen and myself and Marie are humbly trying to do to everyone, is resurrect the fact that the Bible is not a joke. It is a master document. It is the master document for us. And that's why books like Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings and C.S. Lewis's The Chronicles of Narnia are so important because they're Bibles. They're just retelling of the Bible. That's what they do. They're brilliant. And that's not cheating. That's what you do. You exalt God and God's creation. That's what they did. Beautiful souls. And that's who you are. That's who you are. At your core is your awareness. And you can be anything you want to be. And all of this can end in any single moment. And remember, you're eternal. Of course you are. You're a being. Being is eternal. There's no death. Where does death come from? The DE world, this is what Colleen and I teach as much as anything else, is the RE world versus the DE world. The DE world is the lie. Look at all these DE words that they have infiltrated into our language. They're lying to you. And they're convincing you to limit the enormity of this possibilities in this physical realm. You can do magic. You can have anything that you can desire. Magic. And don't you know, you're the only one who can put out the fire. That's why they lie to you. That's why they lie to you 24/7, 365 to beat it into your head that you're worthless, you're nothing. And you drink their beer, and you drink their wine, and you eat the mother's animals, and you got it all wrong. And you wonder why you're suffering, because you got it all wrong. But it takes one moment to get it all right. Everything changes like that. And you start to rise. Then you can do magic. And Nikola Tesla comes into your life. And then it's like, so this journey with Charlie and Colleen is so cool because through them, I learned all about, nobody was talking about magnetism. And it's like, they're the only ones talking about, suddenly it's like magnetism is the biggest part of my life. Yeah. And then you learn Tesla. And then Hitler was a good guy trying to save us. It's like, wow, I want more. Abraham Lincoln, that's what the Civil War was about. And they're all tied together. And it's like, wow, I love this. I love this. I love this journey. And what do we have to do? You just eat raw foods that are free everywhere, abundant on the earth. But you're not allowed to go there. That's not your land. There's a fence and it's not. Come on. It's all free of the mother and the father. It's all free and that's all you need to do. And there's no work. There's no work. And somebody said something earlier, and I just want to quickly address this here as we close things down. And this is really important. Exercise and this exercise craze. You know, remember what Justin said the other day? Anything that organized society pushes on us, you have to take a hard look at. Exercise and this whole exercise fad, and then people who
People
are
in
just
the country who live a life in the country would never go to a gym.
what the and people dropping dead running a marathon every day, and people dropping dead running a marathon every day. It's like exercise. That's like tending to your crops, and that's going for a walk with your children, and that's like walking up the hill to go into meditation to God, and that's your exercise, is the doing of being virtuous and helping others throughout the day. And then you relax. And there's no time for relax because you need to exercise to stay healthy. It's like, what? How come you don't get any exercise? Well, because I work behind a desk. I sell insurance. Insurance? What's that? Well, if somebody loses something, you can, insurance will pay it back. They'll make you feel like shit for it, and you have to wait because they put you under a trial. But you can get it. But isn't that what friends are for? Isn't that what family does? Isn't that what communities do? Don't we? If somebody lost a house, we just rebuild we all pitch in and we rebuild their house. Because if that happened to me, I would. Insurance, you work behind a desk. No, you don't. You're here to journey the earth. Your job is to know everything there is to know about those who live on the Isles of Japan, and everything there about the people who are on the steppes of China and India. And it's to meditate with the natives of the plains on every single continent. That's what your job is. That's who you are. Share your awareness with their awareness and create pyramids.
And the new technology, if we can get everywhere
in
the
an hour,
world in an hour, all of this is possible, and we can do this.
Yeah. Tea
Yeah,
in Australia.
Just want to touch on exercise. I mean, it's training you to destroy your body with these repetitive motions to get into this sort of, you become this like electric machine, and that's what they want us to be, is electricity. You become like a robot. and then they charge money for all the gyms and stuff too, so it's just another way to distort you away from the truth. So there was one study I saw, and this again is not pointing to the whole truth, but they found this town in Japan that allegedly has the greatest number of centenarians, or people who lived to over 100 years old, which as we know is frightfully young. But the one common trait that they had was that they all loved to do something, and none of them exercised, but they all had some activity that they loved to do, and not a single one of them exercised. So that just goes to show that like you need to be active, like do stuff, but be in service, and find something that you love to do. Move your body, but do it with purpose. Don't just do it automatically with mechanistic sort of versions. So yeah, exercise is just another lie.
If it was Angela or Penny or Amanda or Julia or who was saying it earlier, but they were touching on so we were just talking about the exercise, and and that you could get far greater physical benefits from just like breathing, or this breathing exercise, than going out and doing what. Absolutely, because all you ever need to exercise is your inner staircase. And there's two inner staircases. There's the spine, which is a physical thing, and then there's Jacob's ladder, that William Blake wrote about so beautifully and profoundly, which is the subtle body, the subtle ladder within you. You do all of those things through your breathing. Your breathing will bring you all the strength in the world that you require, because strength comes from the Father, the Creator. So breathe them in. You want to get strong, you're going to do something. Watch what people do when they're about to do something that requires intense strength. Like, they've got a competition, they're going to lift some gigantic weight or something. What do? They all go. And they all like breathe really deeply before they do it. And then they go and they do this miraculous thing. And nobody pays attention to the fact that they all breathed like crazy before they did this miraculous thing. If you do it right now, just breathe like Colleen taught us a year ago, to just breathe passionately, like that's God and you're inviting God and you're bringing God inside of you. Just do it right now. And for like 15 seconds, see what happens. You're high. There's a high. It may only last for 5 seconds, but there's a high. I'm not kidding you. Do it right now. Let's all just do it right now. And you see that? Do you get that feeling? It's kind of an etherical, weird, cool feeling, and you're high. That's how you get high. You don't take drugs to get high. And alcohol doesn't get you high. It steals your soul. It steals your spirit. It de-eases you. And it pulls your soul down into your Muladhara root chakra, and then it pulls the life right out of you. And by the way, that's the movie, the Elvis movie that we were, Bubba Hotep, that we were encouraging everyone to watch and stuff. And it's really cool. And it's funny and it's kind of out there because there's a black guy who believes he's kind of wacky.
And it's on the link tree, so you can download it for free.
Thank you, Justin. And so they do that so that it can get made because it's harmless. But what it's really saying is that Elvis Presley and John Kennedy are fighting soul suckers, which are vampires, and that
truth in plain sight.
Truth in plain sight. Truth in plain sight, and that they're fighting vampires, and hand in hand, and you do anything, you lay down your life to do this, because if and what were we just watching? I was just rewatching again another one that we can get Justin to put up, and the movie's called 13 Days, and it's the story about the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Can you say that again?
13 days.
13
Go
days.
ahead. So the movie is 13 Days, and it's produced by Kevin Costner, stars Kevin Costner, and it's about the Cuban Missile Crisis, the 13 days around the Cuban Missile Crisis, and it's an incredible movie. You need to watch it because there's a lot of the truth that the Kennedys are releasing, telling you what they were up against, what was really going on. And you have to read between some lines there, but it's a very, very valuable, important movie. Kevin Costner again, right? And during this, at the height of it, there's a great scene with Kevin Costner and JFK, and they're talking, and JFK, it says, so what is it that Sun Tzu says? Sun Tzu says, and that you have to have already won by first going inside. They just told you everything. They just told you everything. They just told you who he is, what they were trying to do, what this is all about. Now you know John F. Kennedy Jr. for sure is alive, and that all of this has been about the art of war by Sun Tzu, that the militaristic battle. And when you read the art of war from Sun Tzu, who was a virtuous man, what he talks about is that you cannot lose to evil, because the consequences of losing to evil are too horrific to contemplate. So you can't lose. That's why Mary Todd in the movie Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter, says to Abraham, you started this, and now you have to win. You have to win this. And he's saying, but all I've got to defeat them is like a fork. A silver fork. A silver fork. And the elemental expression of silver is AG. A being 1, 17. G being 7, 17. Q team, silver, vampires, Abraham Lincoln, Henry Ford, who sold Lincolns, and Adolf Hitler, and Joe Kennedy, and John Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, and Donald J. Trump. And somewhere hidden in the sinew is John F. Kennedy Jr. So don't despair, my friends. Not for a second do you ever despair. This gets good beyond your imagination. Elvis comes back and he's been fighting alongside of JFK this whole time so that we win. And Princess Di, she's there, and Michael, and they've been saving the children.
Finally, the nightmare turns into the most amazing dream that we've been ever able to have.
Yeah. Don't you despair for a second. Everything that's coming will make Nasara look like a fortune cookie. The great stuff is what you're going to see is the truth and a family who values truth above all else. Without ego.
Where our
I'll bet
matter.
you anything, when JFK Jr. finally does decide, and Carolyn, they decide to reveal themselves and come through, I'll bet you anything we're confronted by two people with a staggering absence of ego. And what's the role that Donald Trump had to play? Why does Donald Trump always say in his speeches that actually, he'll go, actually, I am a very humble person. And he'll go, I am. He is.
I believe him.
He is. He's playing a role. It's a movie because we're the movie age. We're a movie culture. And this is how you best sell the product. And the best is yet to come, my friends. I would never lie to you. The best is yet to come. We've won. It's over. And now we're just going to help them through the truth that's coming out. Adolf Hitler and the Jew lie and Israel. It's huge stuff. It's huge stuff because they're evil. They're evil shits. And it's not going to be easy, but we must tell the truth. And this gets good. This gets good beyond what you can possibly imagine. So, best is yet to come, my friends.
It just keeps getting better. There's no limit, and we're just gonna keep rising and rising and rising. So get excited, y'all. I'm pretty pumped about it. All right, we are at time. So I do want to give everyone a chance to go around and say some quick comments. So Amanda, we'll start with you. You want to just give a quick minute on closing comments?
Yeah, I don't really have too much to say. I'm a processor, so I'm still kind of absorbing. But I just wanted to thank everyone for the opportunity. It was really exciting and amazing to connect with everyone. Yeah, so thank you so much. Appreciate everything and the love and the wisdom, and it's so refreshing to connect with like-minded individuals. Yeah, so thank you.
Great having you. All right, Angela, what you got?
Oh, just thank you so much. Justin, I have to say, I love when you guys are doing the book of Revelation and you're reading the Bible. It's so soothing to listen to you. And that's all. Thank you, everybody.
Love you so much, sister. All right, Penny, what you got?
I agree with Angela. I'm really enjoying listening to you read the Bible, Justin. It's beautiful. Just want to say thank you to everyone. It's lovely to meet you all. And finally to meet you, Colleen and Charlie. And Julia, hopefully you and I can meet at the border because it's opening tomorrow. And you're not even an hour away from me. So let's get together because I don't have anyone here to talk to. So I would love that. And I'll head to Spain because it's nice over there. But yeah, thank you all. I just love this space. I love this family. It's been a lifesaver.
Oh, we love you too, Penny. Thanks for being here. All right, Julia, you got anything for us?
Yeah, just thank you all so much. And as Penny was saying, we discovered on this chat that we live less than an hour apart. And how synchronistic is that? Because here I am. I came here 3 years ago from a friend from high school who invited me, who now we have nothing in common after the pandemic and all the other things, after me being freak since. And so, yeah, it's just amazing. What an amazing synchronicity, and to have somebody like her just right there. So just wonderful. Thank you all so much. And yes, Justin and Charlie and Marie, your readings are also great. Thank you all so much.
Love you, Julia. Thanks for being here. Thanks for staying up for us. Really appreciate it. All right, Charlie, Colleen, y'all got any closing comments before we end tonight?
I'm a processor. Amanda, I like that. That's how I am too.
An
Oh, I
observer.
have an observer, yeah. But I love you guys so much, and thank you for sharing all your beautiful gnosis with us. Oh, we have 3 little puppies. Aren't they adorable? This is what we get to do every day. It's so. While it's a lot of work, it's just a blessing. They're adorable.
You want to give their names? Sirius, as in let's get serious with astrology.
Galadriel.
Gally G,
Galadriel.
Galadriel, Gally G.
Yeah, and this is Orion.
And look at the belt on his back.
It's got a little Orion. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of your beautiful, beautiful stories. Oh my God, like we're just, honey, she doesn't like that. She's a Chihuahua. So yeah, wow, you guys are just so beautiful, and we're so honored to do this journey with you. Like, and all of you in the chat, and all of you listening. What we're saying is the truth. The best is yet to come. So hang in there, hold the line. We don't know the timelines, but it's so very close. Just be patient, breathe. Every moment that you get freaked out, just step back and breathe. It's what I have to do. It's what we do. We have to do that, or we will fall apart just like everybody else. You have to do the work in every moment.
72 Buddha breaths a day. 72.
That's a good
Buddha
challenge.
breaths a
Let's
day.
try it.
Yep.
Let's
And
do
go crazy like we were just doing with the heavy 10-second, 15-second breathing, and just get high. That's how you get high, and there are no consequences. There's no coming down, and there's no price you have to pay. You got high with God. That's the ether. So get high. Do that. Breathe him in deeply.
And slowly. Justin, your turn. We love you.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love y'all so much. Wow. This was another amazing conversation. I'm so glad that y'all were here. I'm so glad that y'all are a part of this. I'm so glad that y'all are such strong like warriors in this, but with such calm, like y'all are it. Y'all are it. This is where we get to be, ourselves and shine brightly and make this magical thing happen. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for your service. And we're always in touch. So never hesitate to reach out if you need anything. And we love you all so much. And everyone in the chat, thank you for being here. Yeah, and just I guess some quick announcements. So Monday we've got Miraculous Monday followed by Song Decode. It might be a particular artist, but we're still gonna, so stay tuned for who we're gonna see on Monday. And then Tuesday we've got so we're gonna be doing bi-weekly for the show with Vegetable Police, Mankind's Quest for True Health. So as I mentioned, we're gonna have Eli Martyr from the Free Melon Society. That's his YouTube channel on there. So if you want to check out that channel, it's a great source of information on the frugivore diet, and he's one of those who lives and he teaches what he does. So he only shares with what his experience is, what he's experienced with food and different things, and he's very, very pure with his diet, and it shows in what he's capable of doing. So really excited to tap into what he's learned and yeah, just dive into the truth. And I love how he's got a foundation of, we have to get to health first in order to reach higher levels, and that's what we have to do. That's John the Baptist. We have to start with the diet and get there. So that's going to be an exciting show at noon Central Time. And then Wednesday we've got the Bible Decode, and we're picking up with chapter 13, 12, 12. Yeah, 12 in Revelation. Last show was like immensely powerful. Like it feels like they just get better and better, but then I go back and look at any of them and they're all just, wow, they're all incredible. But I'm sure this next one's going to be amazing as well. And then Thursday we've got Everything Under the Sun with Charlie and Marie, and that's it for next week, I believe, unless something else pops up. But yeah, those are the announcements. I love y'all so much and hope y'all have a fantastic and restful Sabbath. Make sure to do a lot of breathing, spend a lot of time with yourself, spend a lot of time out in nature, get some sun if you can, but really enjoy the Sabbath and really spring into next week on your Sunday. And yeah, we love y'all so much.